doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Larry Connors, USA.
Well, source matters a lot.
That would mean the director of National Intel is either lying himself or he's not that intelligent.
Larry Connors.
Or both.
Weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you are a timeshare owner, you're probably upset that your yearly dues continue to increase. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and done in a specific time frame. They're the only company you can trust, having helped more than 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out. So please call Lone Star Transfer 855-551-7066 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Wednesday, we are being scammed. We, the people of the United States. The problem is, many of us don't care. Here's the sting. President Biden says he is cutting the deficit. Even the ladies on The View should know that's not true. But then again, enter the Congressional Budget Office. Bean counters, numbers people, can't inject ideology into it. The CBO puts forth that the projected deficit for 10 years ending in 2033 is $20.26 trillion. But wait, before Biden took office, a projected deficit for 10 years was $12.27 trillion. So Joe, the deficit cutter, has added a projected $8 trillion in deficit spending in just 2 years. Way to go, Joe. No president has ever come close to that. For you bankruptcy fans, this is great. Joe Biden, big tipper with our hard-earned money. Also, President Biden wants to raise taxes again on the affluent as he slouches his way toward socialism. But you will never hear him say that because he is a deficit cutter. Back after this. No question, there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. It'll be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
When it's important to you,
Stay informed.
it's on News Talk STL.
1 year anniversary of Russia's further invasion.
We stand with Ukraine.
President Biden warned President Xi.
To the people of East Palestine.
Norfolk Southern will pay for cleaning up the mess.
President Jimmy Carter enters home hospice care.
News, analysis, and opinion.
It's such a big deal what's happening right now.
The economy.
Prices are still rising.
Rival crimes that unfolded in the city.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, the St. Louis primary elections have come and gone, and we now know who the finalists are for the 14 Board of Aldermen seats, down from 28. What do we make of that? We are going to assess that a little bit later on this morning. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike. Here's another question. What should the next step in criminal justice reform be in Missouri? I mean, conservatives control the state, so conservatives get to lead on this if they want to. Interesting op-ed has been published, and it's kind of making the circulation around the state, calling for the restoration of voting rights to most, at least many, felons once they've completed their sentence. Among those who are behind this would be the Americans for Prosperity Missouri branch. And their state director, Jeremy Cady, joined the show on Tuesday to give us his reasons why he's in favor of this restoration of voting rights, even if somebody has a felony record. I personally think he makes a really strong case, but you decide for yourself. What do you think? Here's what Jeremy had to say.
I want to start with, I think, the concept, and then let's get into some nuances on this. What you and Diego Echeverry are talking about in this is that once somebody is done with their sentence, you're saying, even though they're a felon, they should be able to vote again. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea is, while you're incarcerated, you lose a lot of your rights. And that's part of the punishment for, you committed a crime, you get sentenced, you go to prison, you serve your time. Then the question is, what should happen whenever you come out? And I think there can be, a lot of arguments in favor of, if you have paid your debt to society and you have been released to prison, you're back in society, you're working, you're paying taxes, you're taking care of your family again, that your rights should be restored. And one of those is being able to vote, being able to have a say in the government that you're still living under and operating within.
Good morning, Jeremy. Gabe Pfeiffer here. What is the primary argument against this sort of thing? Because I'm kind of with you on this. I think, your debt to society is paid. You come out, we want you to be a productive citizen again, and that should come with some privileges, along with your rights. So what are you hearing from your critics in this regard?
It's one of those things where we had our very first hearing yesterday, Senate Bill 376, that was Senator Curtis Trent's language, actually had a hearing yesterday, and no one testified in opposition to that. I think and this is where you start getting into the nuances, especially with everything that's kind of going on in St. Louis right now. You've already remarked on some of the crime that they've been happening, that the police department might go back under the control of the state. So I think there's a little bit of a fear of being, kind of soft on crime right now. But at the same time, though, this isn't a soft on crime type of issue. This is people that have already paid their debt to society. They've faced their punishment. They've faced the consequences of their actions. They've been released, and now we just want to, reintegrate them back into society fully.
Okay, so a lot of people may say, this is about voting. It's, one vote here and there, or really you're probably talking about thousands of people in Missouri, probably thousands in Illinois, and thousands in every state as well, Jeremy. So that's one thing for them. Is there a bigger impact? I mean, is there anything in this for the rest of us by saying once you complete your sentence, and the way I'm reading your article, Jeremy, is that we're not just talking about time in jail. We're talking about completing the parole. We're talking about completing restitution. We're talking about completing every aspect of the sentence. Is there something in it for the rest of us to encourage people to complete that in order to get this right back?
So this actually allows them to be able to vote while they are still on parole and probation.
Okay.
About 23 other states do this currently. It does impact about 40,000 Missourians, according to the current numbers. But where it helps out, number one, is it tends to reduce recidivism. Whenever you restore rights and you incorporate individuals back to society more fully, they're less likely to commit further crimes. A study in 2011 by the Florida Parole Commission actually showed that it reduced recidivism by about two-thirds by restoring rights and reintegrating people back into society more fully. Then secondarily, the other bonus to this also is it's easier to actually maintain voter rolls. It's one of those things where oftentimes an election authority will have to keep checking with maybe the Department of Corrections and whatnot to find out who's on parole, who's not on parole, who's on probation, who's not. And right now, if this were to pass, if you're not in prison, you can go to the county clerk or your election authority and register to vote. They don't have to do those checks, and it makes it easier to actually maintain those roles.
Okay, so I'm just saying 40,000 Missourians, like you just said, Jeremy, man, we Missourians are a rough bunch. I'm just saying.
and one of the other nuances to this, because we do recognize this also, this does not include individuals that have committed voter or election fraud.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
That was actually going to be my question is because, in one way, I think even, with certain felonies, people should have like their gun rights even restored, except for violent felons.
Yeah, if you used a gun. Yeah.
If you use a gun, in particular, if you used a gun. But so it makes sense that if you violated voting laws, then you just lose that one forever. So I guess I got to come up with another question now.
No, but that's a good point, is because I mentioned the nuance. We're visiting with Jeremy Cady from Americans for Prosperity. But in that case, for instance, if somebody commits election fraud or something like that, well, that's part of the sentence is you've abused your right. But if somebody has, I don't know, paid back their debt to society for auto theft or whatever the case is, the victim's been made whole, there's been justice. That's the type of thing we're talking about here, right?
Well, it is one of those things, too, where you got to also keep in mind marijuana is now legal in the state of Missouri. And so you've got individuals that have marijuana convictions that can't vote now. One of the other discussions that came up yesterday, the firearms actually did come up as some of the discussion that we were having with some of the legislators after the committee hearing, prior to and after the committee hearing. And kind of to your point, some of these people can vote. They can't run for office right now. They can't have a firearm. Their crime might actually be bank fraud. And no one was harmed, physically in violence, or it might not have had anything to do with elections at all. So there's a number of different crimes that this would apply to. But it's just basically, and even whenever we're having those discussions around even the Second Amendment, it's like we need to make sure that no violent criminals, have that back, because to your point, that is part of the overall sense it's moving forward. But for those individuals that it wasn't election related, they've paid their debt to society. Let's help them reintegrate back into society, become, have those rights back and participate.
Hey, Jeremy, this is Stel here in the studio. I'm going to ask this question serious and funny. What about considering someone who's carjacked and saying, okay, these folks don't get their driver's license back? Wouldn't that be kind of interesting?
Meaning, if they carjack someone, they have a license,
and they're convicted, they go to jail. But when they get out, no, you can't drive anymore. We're taking away your driver's license, or at least for 10 years. To speak to that group of folks who seem to be fixated on carjacking.
No, I mean,
I know that sounds funny, but that came into my mind when you were discussing about the gun issue.
Very true, and that's very interesting. I do know oftentimes whenever we're actually, because you take the license for a number of different things. That was actually one of the issues that we had with St. Louis and some of the municipalities in St. Louis County. If they're over-fining and feeing, they would take the driver's license if you couldn't pay your fines and fees, and then you couldn't work, and therefore you couldn't pay back your fines and fees. So I know we're very cautious whenever we're talking about completely removing someone's ability to actually make a living and provide for their families. through their participation. But at the same time, though, you make some good points, and it's an interesting conversation to continue. Absolutely.
I get it. Okay,
Jeremy, I appreciate the nod also to the reduction of recidivism, and that's one of my focuses too. Whenever I think about crime reform or criminal justice reform, do you think this particular aspect fits into a larger reform that we need to have for the way we deal with prisoners to begin with?
Meaning before they go into prison, or while they're in prison?
While they're in prison, as well as preparing them for to come out, basically to reduce recidivism.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things where I've had a number of conversations where sometimes whenever they're coming out of prison, they might not have their birth certificate, they might not have their Social Security card, they don't have the driver's license. Kind of back to that conversation that we just had. But they're tasked with maybe having to find a job within 30 days.
Oh, wow.
But to find a job, you've got to have, for your authorization that you are a U.S. citizen and you are able to work in the United States and in Missouri, you've got to have a driver's license and some of your other supporting documents. So even the conversation of what are we doing to make sure that maybe they have some of those supporting documents whenever they leave, so they can go right away, go to an employer and be like, hey, I'm applying for a job, I need to work, this, that, and the other. Then also while we're there, and I think Governor Parson has been doing actually really good on this portion of it, but helping to ensure that we provide some sort of training also. I know there's a lot of, the semi-truck driving training that's actually taking place in some of our prisons right here in the state of Missouri, so that way whenever they come out, we need truck drivers. We need to move supplies across the country right now. And they're actually providing some of that training. So as soon as they come out of prison, they can get behind the wheel, take their test, and then get on the road and start providing, start earning a living, providing for their family, and again, reintegrating back into society.
Okay, Jeremy, we're going to get the website, social media information out there in just a moment. The article is called Missouri Should Restore Voting Rights to Formerly Incarcerated Residents. We got to get to a segment or an information segment here, Jeremy. But what's the 30-second response to my argument that conservatives should be leading on criminal justice reform, not reacting to criminal justice reform?
It's one of those things where I think we should be supporting human rights altogether. And so if you look at the rights that were endowed by our Creator and how we use those whenever we're integrating and participating in society, I think it's one of those things where we want to only prohibit and or limit those rights in the most concise way possible. And, voting being one of those. And so it's one of those things where if you've paid your debt and you've come out and you're being a member of society again, you're working, you're paying your taxes, you're taking care of your family, we should really consider removing those limitations on you. All
right, Jeremy, the website, the social media, where do people find you?
AmericansForProsperity.org, AFP Missouri on Facebook and Twitter. And Facebook and Twitter is probably where you can find the most up-to-date information on what we're working on.
We've got your news roundup coming in just about 3 minutes and 53 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Larry Connors, USA.
Well, source matters a lot. That would mean the director of national intel is either lying himself or he's not that intelligent.
Larry Connors.
Or both.
Weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Seidenstricker Nobe is your John Deere partner for the land. Right now, we have affordable pricing on John Deere compact tractor packages with a mower and a loader starting as low as $216 a month. With our exclusive S&P 10-year warranty, this is your chance to add versatility and power to your outdoor lineup. Plus, be on the lookout for our 2023 spring tent sale schedule. Visit snpartners.com for more information.
Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer expires 4/30/23.
Columbo and Katie.
How are we living in a world right now that every single thing feels like it's staged? Every single conversation, every single debate.
Because a lot of it is.
Every single argument.
It's the Instagramming of America. If you know how Instagram works, it's basically, this is the nice life simulator of reality, where you're supposed to take the very best pictures of your very best hair day.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic, and I'm here with Kathy Connor at Connor Roofing. Kathy, what makes Connor Roofing different?
Hey, Vic. I'm glad that you asked. I think that what really sets Connor Roofing apart is our relationship with our customers. It's very important to us to develop that trust with the homeowner. This is what has allowed us to serve our friends and our neighbors in the St. Louis area for 30 years. Whether we are doing a roof or a gutter repair or even a full replacement, you can count on Connor for quality service and workmanship.
Thanks, Kathy. To find out more, visit them at connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL. This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
All right, one of Missouri's efforts to defend your Second Amendment rights struck down by a judge.
I was a little surprised by that. Were you?
Given the judge, not really.
Oh, okay.
But I'm obviously angry that there was a challenge gone to it. I would not have been surprised if it went the other way as well, because this is essentially a 10th Amendment issue in addition to a Second Amendment issue, in my opinion. And I'm going to make the case for that, and I'm willing to have people disagree with me, but it's an angering decision. Very angering decisions. We'll tell you about that here in just a minute. Also, St. Charles voters, talking about the city of St. Charles, going to decide whether to raise taxes on themselves. Although the government officials don't see it that way. They say, no, this tax increase, this new tax, it's not a new tax or a tax increase.
Funny, they always say it that way.
Yeah, they're just going, we want more money, is what it is. And also, this is some good news. One of the GOP-backed candidates for the St. Louis Board of Aldermen advances to the general election, gets a win last night.
That's good to see.
Absolutely. So we'll tell you about that. I'm sure he's still asleep, but I'm working on trying to get him on the show here. All right, I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Del Ponticus. It is 5:51. An Obama-appointed federal judge gives the Biden administration a win. Now, at issue here is Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act, and the judge struck it down entirely. This is a big, harsh ruling on this. The judge is saying basically that states do not have the right to pass laws that conflict with federal laws, even if that state law is designed to protect an explicit constitutional right. The ruling will be appealed. I do think this ruling is just a bad ruling. I think it's bad on its face because the ruling is on a law that says Missouri laws, which are managing, in this case, Missouri law enforcement resources, can't be used in certain ways. And so the judge is basically ruling that the state must be compelled to use Missouri state resources for federal purposes, even if they violate the Second Amendment. So we'll get into this in more depth after the top of the hour. But it's an Obama-appointed judge, and the lawsuit is filed by the Biden administration. So we see where this was going. By the way, at 8:05, Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association going to be with us. React to this and tell us what is next. Okay, one of the two St. Louis City Republican Party-backed candidates advances to the general election. This is happening in Ward 2. Phil Menendez came in second place, which is good enough to set up an April election between him and Thomas Oldenburg. This is one of those areas where Thomas Oldenburg was the first place vote getter, and they have this, this bizarre ranked choice voting. And so between the number one and number two votes, it turned out that of the three candidates, Phil Menendez is going to be on that ballot as well. So when you look at the actual numbers, and we'll go into this a little more depth around 620, Stel. What you have here is Thomas Oldenburg got the most votes, but when you look at the difference between those two, it's not that far. So couple that with the fact that there's going to be a higher voter turnout in April. You don't know what's going to happen. Voter turnout was, I'm trying to get an exact number, but it looks like it was around 11 or 12% of the registered eligible voters. So the voter turnout was very low, just like we thought it was going to be. And until kind of a last-minute push of voters, they were at like 8 or 9% through most of the day. It was really, really, really good. But that's the opportunity for outsiders on there. So
interesting side note, I think Ward 9 had a tie.
Yes, they do. As of right now, I mean, they're going through and they're going to have to hand count. They've literally got a tie.
Boy.
And then because it's a runoff voting, that messes up the ranked choice voting thing. So they're still trying to figure out who's going to be in the general election because you're only supposed to have 2 in the final one, and those weren't the number 1 vote getters. It's really bizarre.
Wow,
how that's happening out there. Yeah, what a strange case. All right, okay. U.S. House Committee investigating the origins of COVID-19 says Dr. Anthony Fauci prompted, using their words, the drafting of a publication back in 2020 that he said get out there and try to discredit and disprove the Wuhan lab leak theory, which is now generally accepted by everybody except those who politically and financially need it to not be there. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley was on Hannity last night on Fox, and here's his take.
What we do know is that Fauci actively worked to discredit the idea, the I believe fact, that this came from a lab, that COVID was a lab leak, originated in a lab leak. He actively worked to discourage that, to discredit that, when our own government was collecting intelligence that suggested it did in fact come from a lab.
Okay, so Republicans on the House committee are planning to subpoena Fauci. Fauci says he's not going to fight it, and he says he is going to testify. So that's going to be spicy, and I'll be looking forward to that.
Especially if maybe would Ted Cruz be involved in that?
No, because it's House.
Oh,
it's in the House.
You're right. Yeah.
So, but Jim Jordan, could be involved. I mean, so it's going to be really spicy. I really want it to happen in the Senate because I would love for instance, not just even Josh Hawley, but Rand Paul in particular.
Yes.
Tangle with Anthony Fauci once again because Fauci can't stand it, and he stands his ground even when he is caught in abundant lies. I'm telling you, this guy, I really hope they've got something enough on him to charge him criminally, and that Anthony Fauci finishes his days in a jail cell. That's really what I think of Anthony Fauci.
And I'm still stunned that WashU is so tone deaf that they invite him.
Yeah, we've seen nothing but left-wing tone deafness from WashU. I mean, WashU is a high-dollar elitist. To me, should be an embarrassment to the St. Louis community. I mean, to me, it's just awful. Just awful what they do out there. All right, voters in the city of St. Charles being asked to impose a 2% sales tax on online purchases. I'm really curious what people think about this. Okay, so this is going to be on the April ballot. City officials are somehow arguing that adding a sales tax to purchases that are not currently taxed is not a new tax or a tax increase. That's really what they're arguing.
Once again, they try to redefine.
Yeah.
The words. No, I'm sorry. That doesn't work that way.
All right, so I am going to tell you just a little bit why they're making the case. They're like, well, this tax increase isn't a tax increase. This new tax isn't a new tax. I mean, sure, you're going to be paying a tax that you aren't paying now, but it's not a new tax or a tax increase. Okay. All right, I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But, I know there are a lot of people who favor these additions of the online taxes. The government class loves them, and they try to make a fairness and a justice argument about it. And the chambers of commerce types get on board these as well, which is really unfortunate. All right, sports. Okay, a lot going on here. Spring training, Tigers beat the Cardinals yesterday. The Redbirds play the Yankees today. There's no broadcast, so if you want to keep up with that game and hear what's going on, have a friend at the game and call them, and they'll tell you what's happening. The Battlehawks, Jared Jones-Smith gets a one-game suspension from the XFL. There was a big brawl Sunday's game with the DC Defenders between some Battlehawks and Defenders players. 3 other Battlehawks players got fined, and Coach Torrey Woodbury received a fine as well. All right, the Blues got thumped in Arizona last night. Final score 6-2. Ouch. They are off tonight. The Blues road trip continues tomorrow in San Jose against the Sharks.
The Republican Party, City of St. Louis, stands in solidarity with Attorney General Andrew Bailey in his decision to lead the process to remove Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner from office. As we and Republican candidates for alderman have highlighted, she has pandered to perpetrators over providing justice for victims. Her incompetence has devastated our police force morale. Kim Gardner must go. The future of our city is at stake. Read our full statement at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
Hey, Pocket Watchers. By now, I know you heard that the IRS is hiring 87,000 more agents. What does that mean? More collections, more audits. If you have a tax problem, unfiled tax returns, a large tax bill that you can't handle, give my office a call, 314-776-9076. I have years of experience of representing clients before the IRS to resolve tax problems. So stop hiding. Sticking your head in the sand is not going to make this go away. Give my office a call, 314-776-9076. Thornton Advisor Group is here to help you. Set up your free consultation to get an understanding of what's going on with your IRS case. Stop ignoring those letters. Give my office a call, 314-776-9076, or visit us online at thorntonadvisor.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Following the kidnapping of 4 Americans in northern Mexico and the murder of 2 of them, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says time to get tough with the narco criminals south of the border.
Graham told Fox News he would follow the advice of former President Trump and put Mexico on notice. Graham says he would tell the Mexican government, quote, if you don't clean up your act, we're going to clean it up for you. Senator Graham says he's prepared to introduce legislation that would designate certain Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations under U.S. law, something that would set the stage for military intervention if necessary. Bob Agnew reporting.
Federal investigators announcing a special investigation of Norfolk Southern. The move follows a fiery train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio last month and several other accidents. The most recent accident led to a train conductor's death. That was early yesterday. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis touting his state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and vaccine requirements.
We have prohibited COVID shot mandates in schools. We have banned vaccine passports, and we have protected Floridians from losing their jobs due to their personal decision about whether to take or not take the COVID jab.
In his State of the State address, DeSantis also points with pride to Florida's pro-life and gender, immigration, and parental rights policies. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will be back on Capitol Hill today for more testimony. Yesterday told lawmakers interest rates may have to go higher and stay there longer than expected to fight inflation. And that triggered a big sell-off yesterday on Wall Street, but this morning the stock futures are a bit higher so far. Right now, the Dow futures up 32 points, NASDAQ futures ahead 27 points, and the S&P futures better by 5 points ahead of this morning's opening bell. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's Prager here. Sue and I mean it. Dogs are part of our family. We love Otto and Snoopy so much, there's nothing quite like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens. In fact, I just talked to my wife about it because we want them to be healthy and we want them to be with us as long as possible. That's true. I know Sebastian Gorka feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. Our pups, Killian and Leia, rely on us to provide what's best for them. And naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, omega oils, and more that supplement their food in a way that has shown us great results. Trying out Rough Greens is an easy yes, recommended by me, Dr. G.
Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm so proud that the Pragers and Sebastian Gorka have entrusted their dog's health to Rough Greens. I'm so confident that Rough Greens can help your dog, I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, your dog's food is dead food, but you can bring it back to life with Rough Greens. Go to ruffgreens.com. Bible.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. It'll be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Joe Biden gets a win against a pro-Second Amendment Missouri law. Did you hear about this, Gabe?
I did not.
Oh, boy.
What happened here?
I'm about to hit you with this here in a minute.
All right.
Yeah. All right, coming up on 606 right now, Gabe Pfeiffer's over there who's about to be gobsmacked.
Oh, no.
Stel Ponticus is here. My name is Mike Ferguson.
So sit down, Gabe. Sit down.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Oh, you are sitting.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right. A Republican Party-backed candidate wins a spot in the St. Louis Board of Aldermen general election.
That's kind of gobsmacking.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes, it is. I've got the full update for you right around 6:20. Okay, so we're going to go into this kind of head first and dive in right around 6:35, but here's the basic situation. A federal judge in Jefferson City struck down Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
The whole thing.
Also crazy, but that's huge.
Right. So this is among the priorities of the Biden administration. So the judge, to no one's surprise, is an Obama appointee. So an Obama appointee gives the Biden administration a win and striking down Missouri's SAPL law. Now, the SAPL law, as I think people know, at least people who are part of the News Talk STL family know, says that law enforcement in Missouri cannot be used to enforce federal gun control laws that the state of Missouri deems unconstitutional. So it's not saying that the feds can't come in and try to do their own stuff. It says that we will not provide our own resources for doing something that the state the state in some capacities believes is or could be unconstitutional.
So fully within the 10th Amendment.
Yes.
Like completely within the 10th Amendment.
Yes. This is not a sanctuary city type of thing. I mean, some places have declared themselves Second Amendment sanctuary cities where like law enforcement of all kinds are prohibited from going in and enforcing laws, whether they're good or bad laws, like illegal immigrant sanctuary cities. This isn't what SAPA is. SAPA simply says you don't get to use our resources for that. It's not saying you can't come in our state. It's saying you can't use our resources. And so the court, and again, 635, I'll go into more detail on what the judge, used as the ruling, and I've got some of the quotes from the ruling on it. But what you have here is an assault on the actual concept of the Second Amendment itself. It doesn't strike down, it doesn't impose any new gun control laws in this, other than it just makes it easier for the feds to demand assistance, manpower, or intelligence, or investigatory resources, or something like that. So it's more about the federal government being able to compel state and local law enforcement to do something that our government says we don't want to do.
I'd argue that it's an assault on constitutional government itself.
Yes.
The idea that the United States is a collection of individual and sovereign state entities that have agreed to come together under a federal government. That whole concept has been being diminished, I would say, most aggressively from the early 1900s, and this kind of ruling, yeah, like you said, Mike, it's an assault on the Second, and I would say an assault on the 10th, and basically the way the government is structured to begin with in earlier articles.
The ruling simply assumes that whatever Congress or the president pass or decree overrides anything that the states pass. And that itself is the 10th Amendment issue. It's the Federalist issue, the federalism issue, I should say. 314-912-1019. At 8:05, Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association is going to be with us. This will be appealed, without a doubt.
Oh, of course. So it's going to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
I imagine.
Yes, it will. And so we can rest, I guess, take some confidence in that it is going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. However, we can never take for granted that even originalists on the Supreme Court will see a conflict between the states and the federal government the same way. It all depends on how they view the Supremacy Clause.
Yeah, that's true. That can lead to a lot of interesting discussions when it comes to these state law versus federal law things. And one thing I've also found is that sometimes just the language of the law itself could bring some consternation to originalist judges, because they are very much involved in what the law actually says versus how it was intended or how it's been interpreted.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So let's do this at 6:35.
Okay.
6:35. Let's do it at 6:35. All right. In Washington, D.C. today, U.S. House lawmakers getting ready for a hearing about the origin of COVID-19. Fox News' Doug Luzader has a preview.
This has become a priority here on Capitol Hill since Republicans took control of the House. They have a range of witnesses for this hearing, from the former director of the CDC, Dr. Robert Redfield, to the former science and health editor of the New York Times. And chief among the many questions today, where did this virus come from? Did it evolve naturally, or did it leak from a lab in Wuhan, China? The House Intelligence Committee is trying to dig up more information, moving forward on a measure to require the administration to, quote, declassify any and all information relating to potential links between the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the origin of COVID-19.
That's going to start around 8 o'clock our time. So there actually might be, I doubt there'll be, as far as big updates, probably during the show here, but it's going to get underway right around, like I said, 8 o'clock Central Time on this. So basically, we've had the big buildup for this sort of hearing, and it's kind of interesting to me how so many people now are tuned into House committee and subcommittee hearings, which before, we're all just super wonky, and you had to be a political junkie, and you got really worked up when something got to the actual House floor for a vote. But what we have right here is the investigative part of this, and people are going to have to defend themselves, and they're going to get really, really tough questions. And so far, the House Republicans are following through still with what they've been promising from before the 2022 election and their 2022 campaign was to go after the people who we know are hiding information from us.
And I'm willing to give them credit for making the move, and I'm also willing to give the citizens credit for actually catching on to what we feel has been going on since the beginning, and folks were getting canceled for making any comment about it. And I think maybe that's the reason for the increased interest in folks watching it, because they want to see how this whole thing comes out in the end.
Right.
Now,
were we lied to? Were we not? A lot of folks are realizing,
we were absolutely lied to.
Yep.
Now, the question to me is, are these hearings going to come to anything meaningful? Because, I mean, yes, it's one thing to have your position on the issue validated by saying, okay, yes, this guy testified, and you can point to it, and you can pull up a clip on your phone and show your friend who's still arguing about the old stuff. It's like, hey, look, he says the exact same thing that I was saying a year and a half ago. That's nice, I guess, but I want people to go to prison.
And can you get a conviction? You're right.
I'm serious. I mean, there are people whose malfeasance cause people harm, and those people still manage to retain power, let alone walk around freely among us, knowing that they hurt the American public in a big way. I do not like that. I feel justice is not done in that situation. If we get to yell at them in Congress and we get to show embarrassing clips about them, that doesn't mean anything in terms of justice to me.
Especially when you see correspondence evidence that shows that there was communication between all these folks, whether it was stuff exposed on the Twitter files or the laptop. It's evident that there was communication there. And I agree with you, Gabe. You wonder, will there be a conviction? Hard to say.
There won't.
Probably not.
No, I mean, I'm telling you right now, there won't. The best, Gabe, just what you described, and you said, well, that's nice if we get, that's the best we're going to get on this. And then, the media is going to move on to something else, and the voters are going to move on to something else. And those of us on the right, we're going to have something else probably legitimate to go after. But the best that we're going to be able to do probably is to run some authoritarian liar through the ringer well enough to discourage the next authoritarian authoritarian liar from trying something super outrageous and maybe only mildly outrageous. The reality is that the people who are following through and doing these investigations and going after the liars, they're the ones that need extra support in Congress. So those are the people, when you look at the next round of primary elections, who are the ones who are actually able to get elected and who are going to give support to that and willing to face the fire and take on the left. I mean, so as far as like a conviction or something, no, because the Biden administration's Department of Justice is not going to stand up for us in any way, shape, or form.
No, but we got to push back, and especially at the ballot box. Otherwise, we wind up like Canada. We wind up with a tyrannical government, and we have somebody like Trudeau in charge, and we have provincial people who just copy the line that they get from Ottawa, and it's obvious that we have to stop listening to a lot of the stuff that comes out of D.C.
I'll definitely give you that the current administration won't go after anybody, but would a Republican administrations, let's say in 2024, 2025, be inclined to revisit this, do you think?
If it doesn't hurt their electoral prospects for 2026, maybe.
Oh, that's so sad. It's so sad that that's part of the consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Because my goodness, it's a justice issue to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It absolutely. We need to hold people who hold such power to a higher level of accountability versus anybody else. And here we are. It's like, well, these people, we yell at, like I said, we yell at them on Capitol Hill, and then they go about their business, and that's not enough for me.
There's too much uniparty there. You're right. And the way to solve it is to vote these guys out. And can we do that? I don't know. I hope so.
Well, you look at locally, I mean, I believe Sam Page should face criminal charges.
Yes, absolutely.
Without a doubt. I mean, he completely, at the very least, he should be held in contempt of court because he continually violated explicit court rulings that struck down his illegal actions. Not to mention, everybody should sue the hell out of him for all the damage he did to businesses and First Amendment violations. So the bottom line is that we have to keep the pressure on, not so much because we're going to get justice for what has happened. I don't think we will, but we need to keep pushing so that we can stop it from happening again, so we can prevent the next injustice.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I just wonder if there are no consequences, how do you prevent it?
I know. That's the tough part. Absolutely tough part. 314-912-1019. Just ahead, St. Charles city voters being asked to raise taxes on themselves, except the government says it's not really a tax increase, even though it's a tax that you're not paying now. It's a new tax, but it's not a new tax. Just because you're paying it, you would be paying it, and you're not paying it now. It's not a news tax or a tax increase.
Whoa, I'm dizzy now.
Make my head hurt.
And then also one of the St. Louis City Republican-backed candidates makes it through to the general election, actually won in the primary last night. I'll tell you what's going on, and we've got a lot of ground to cover here. That's happening around 6:21 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Hey, it's Tim Jones. You need an event space that people will talk about later and forever? View 17 in Brentwood is that place. Perfect for corporate, private, or even public events, View 17 is ultra-modern and fully broadcast ready for live streaming your event. And get this, all tech rentals are included in the rental fee. View 17 on the 17th floor of the old U-Club Tower, like no other event space in the area. What a view. Check it out right now at VUE17.com. VUE17.com. I might even see you there.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
To help us articulate the metrics by which we will then measure our success in real time.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I find it along the way.
Chris, she's working to measure the success by which they'll measure the success of the metrics.
I think it's going to come out later that the vice president carried around marijuana edibles.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
Tony Columbo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. We talk a lot these days about narratives, media narratives, preferred narratives. It's an acknowledgement that so much of the information we consume is the product of someone else's spin. Frankly, I'd submit that all of it is. Every shred of information passed along to us, whether via cable news or talk radio or social media, flows through a human filter, which means it inevitably holds a degree of bias, whether intentional or subconscious, in framing or in omission. Human beings aren't robots, and we neither consume nor disseminate information with complete objectivity. Shoot, even artificial intelligence programs like ChatGPT carry the biases of their programmers. This is where discernment comes into play. If we want the whole picture, the clearest view, it's critical to assess whether words match with actions and conclusions align with evidence, and that holds true whether we dislike the message in question or it's music to our ears. So who are the honest brokers these days? Who can we rely on to call balls and strikes and not shade the truth or outright lie if it suits them? There may not be many, but the ones to look for are those who are willing to speak up even when it's against their self-interest, or who aren't too proud to admit when they've gotten it wrong.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Bill O'Reilly here, and you can hear my no-spin commentary right here at 6:45 this evening. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
A Republican candidate actually gets a win in a St. Louis City election last night, although there were no R's or D's on the ballot, so people just had to choose who they liked as a candidate.
That's wild.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, 6:23. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. We'll get to that in just a moment here. All right, let me tell you what's going on in the city of St. Charles. They want to add an online sales tax.
Oh, gosh. Not one of these things.
One
again.
of these things again here. So I'm looking at Channel 4's coverage of this, and some of the quotes just jumped out to me that just, these are the things that drive me crazy, guys. Okay, so what's happening is in the April election, the city is asking voters to add a 2% online sales tax. So you live in St. Charles, you buy something on Amazon or Wayfair or whatever. They want you to increase the tax on yourself because right now you don't pay that tax. You don't pay a city sales tax on that.
Right.
And so the Chamber of Commerce types are all for this because they're basically the private sector pro-government types now,
Yes,
whereas
yes.
Chamber of Commerce types used to be conservative limited government types, but now they're saying, no, we want to use government to, our special interest reasons.
Does every group eventually end up that way?
Pretty
it feels
much.
It feels like it.
Yeah,
Gosh,
unfortunately.
dang it.
And so what happened here is there's a quote, and it's funny because let me find where. Okay, City Administrator Lawrence Dabrowski is quoted in here as saying, "This is not an additional tax." He's saying this is not a new tax.
So what's it replacing?
It's not replacing anything. It's a new tax.
So how are they saying that it's not an additional tax?
What they're saying is that if you go in and buy something at a brick and mortar store in St. Charles City, you go down to Old Main Street, you
Right.
go to the streets of St. Charles, you
Mhm.
go whatever, you pay your 2% city sales tax.
Sure.
But if you buy it online and then you pay for shipping and wait a couple days or whatever, and then you get it delivered to your house, you don't pay the 2% sales tax.
Right, because they didn't buy it in the city.
Well, or they may no. If you live in the city and you buy it.
Yeah, but I
Right.
didn't buy it in the city.
Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I mean, but you bought it from somewhere. You buy.
Yeah.
You go to streets of St. Charles and buy soap at the soap store there in the streets of St. Charles. You pay the 2% city sales tax. But you sit at home in St. Charles and you order it. You go online and buy it from them, and they ship it to you. You don't pay your 2% sales tax on that. And they're like, "Well, it's just the same tax. It's just we're applying it to more people." No, it's a new tax.
That's what?
Yes.
Okay. So if I buy from a store in Minnesota,
Right.
through Amazon,
Yeah,
I'm buying from a store in Minnesota.
that's correct.
So, I mean, why would I pay a St. Charles tax from a store in Minnesota?
Because they want the money.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, see, now that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So here's what the businesses, and this is such a tired argument. So the businesses say it's not fair if people walk into our store and they're going to pay a sales tax, but they don't pay it online, then they're just going to buy it online.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe, maybe not, but there are advantages to buying it in the store. You have an advantage over online retailers. First of all, you can walk in and buy it and walk out with it on the spot.
Yes.
As opposed to waiting 2, 3, 4 days. In our case with Rachel and I, we're buying, a bunch of our stuff for our renovation, and we'll wait a week to get it.
Yeah, and you could, like when you order online, pay extra to have it next day or something
Yes.
like that. But you're paying slightly extra, 2% extra, to have it today.
Right.
Well, that makes sense in the market, doesn't it?
Yeah. But the idea that, well, it's not a new tax, it's not a tax increase. There are just people, they're implying that people basically were getting an unfair advantage by being able to buy something through another means.
Yeah.
And so the businesses are basically, the brick and mortar businesses are basically saying, it's not fair. We have to charge it, and they don't. Well, you offer things that they don't, but the sales tax is for something that's purchased in the city. And so this is just another way to raise taxes. Just as a matter of principle, I always vote against every single sales tax. I don't care what it's for. I don't care how much it is. I don't care the reasoning for it. We are taxed way too much now. There is no moral reason to raise taxes whatsoever. I don't care what the cause is. And in this case, what they're arguing is, boy, we add this online sales tax, we can afford more police officers on the street. So they always play that card.
Yes, and I'm exactly with you. If I see a new tax, a new what do you call these? With a new bond measure or any of those things, I always say no. Regardless of their reasoning, because their reasoning comes from the place there that suggests that the current amount of money that they have is not enough, and I don't believe them.
Same.
And you shouldn't either.
That's right. Quick note here. I know we got an information segment coming up here. Congratulations to Phil Menendez. He's been in the studio with us here. St. Louis City Republican Party back candidate in the 2nd Ward in St. Louis Board of Alderman races. When they got through all the final ranked choice voting votes, which are really confusing because they show you the percentages of these races, and I mean they can add up to 200%, something. But in the Ward 2. Thomas Oldenburg was the leading vote getter with 59% of the vote, but second place was Phil Menendez with 36% of the vote. It was a difference of about 600 votes in the ward, and then a third candidate, Katie Bellis, got 750 votes. So Phil Menendez is moving on to the general election. Now, these are nonpartisan races, but there is going to be somebody who at least is opposing the establishment in this general election. So it looks like there's one race in the city of St. Louis. I mean, we're going to be keeping an eye on school board races around the metro area, city hall races. But in the city, there is one who made it through. Unfortunately, Macatraba didn't make it through. He was a third-place finisher in his race. But Phil Menendez is going to be moving through. So that's a step in the right direction for the city of St. Louis Republican Party. That is a big win already. We'll see if they can capitalize and make him the lone voice of sanity in St. Louis City Hall, guys.
Absolutely positive. And what you really got to do is make sure to get out. I mean, again, the voter turnout is a major issue, especially in these off-year this is an off year election. So it's a numbers game. Get out and vote, and make sure all your Republican friends do too.
Yeah, or libertarians,
or libertarians,
or Democrats who see the insanity has gone too far.
The what was it? The decent D's.
Yeah,
get the decent D's engaged as well.
Otherwise, through the city, it was pretty much what you would expect. For the most part, it was just left-wing, candidates. Those endorsed by Mayor Tashara Jones and Board of Alderman President Megan Green didn't run the table entirely, but mostly. So there's really no hope right now that St. Louis City Hall is going to change directions overall. That's why you need at least somebody in there being that thorn in the side and raising the questions and objecting to what's happening and offering actual solutions that involve fiscal responsibility and accountability. So there is a chance that the first voice can come in, and then you know what? Then you've got elections in the following years down the road here as well. So congratulations to Phil. Congratulations to the St. Louis City GOP. The bottom line is they did the work, and this is what happens when you do the work. By the way, Macatraba ran a really, really good campaign. He was just in an exceptionally left-wing area.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he did everything right there, but you're fighting the tide in there.
And so he did he did as well as you could. But who knows? Maybe opened up a door for another race down the road. All right, just ahead here. By the way, you have some thoughts on that? 314-912-1019. You know the number. You shouldn't use the number. Second Amendment Preservation Act takes a big hit in Missouri. We'll go into more depth about that just ahead right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. It'll be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning, and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees, with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
It's Proctor spelled like doctor for custom window fabrics and shutters. Upgrade or start from scratch. Either way, Michael is the St. Louis expert. Check him out at proctordrapery.com and then call Proctor spelled like doctor for shutters, shades, and draperies.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Guys in the Rumble chat box just now, Curl65 said, hey guys, he said good morning to all of us. He lives, he or she, I don't know who Curl65 is, but Curl65 lives in the city limits of St. Charles City. Says they are a hard no on any sales tax increase. He says, they say citizens are the only people who have to live within a budget, and ours is getting tight. Don't blame you. Don't blame you. Absolutely. So 100% on that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we got this news yesterday, and it kind of surprised us all, Stel, to go back to something you said just a little bit earlier today when we were doing the news roundup, brought to you by Anton's HVAC, that all of a sudden out of nowhere, headlines pop up, and the Second Amendment Preservation Act that Missouri has had for a few years is struck down by a federal judge. Struck down, as in it is not enforced right now.
I was not expecting to see that.
Yeah.
To be totally honest with you.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, we knew there was a lawsuit, I think, but everybody's like, yeah, no, everything's challenged by a lawsuit. So here's what happened, and let me get to the actual quotes of the judge in this case. I have so much stuff going on here. Okay, so federal judge Brian Wimes in Jefferson City ruled that the state's Second Amendment Preservation Act violates the U.S. Constitution's Supremacy Clause, and arguing that federal laws take priority over conflicting state laws. Now, what they're arguing is the conflicting state law here is SAPA, which says that we will not, as a state, meaning Missouri, will not put any law enforcement resources into aiding the federal government in their enforcement of gun control laws.
Right.
So we weren't, the state was not saying we're going to try to block them, but it's saying that you don't get to call in and say, we're doing a gun control thing. We're coming in and enforcing a gun control law. We need some of your highway patrolmen and women. We need the local sheriffs guys. You're adding to the team here. We're going to go get these. We're going to go get the bad guys, or we're investigating to try to, enforce a federal gun control law. and we need to know what your intelligence is, what your investigations are, or we need to come and set up shop in yours, and we're going to use your resources. And federal law, or state law rather, SAPA, says you can't do that if we recognize a federal gun control law as unconstitutional, as in violation of the Second Amendment. We simply will not provide the resources and the incentive to, not the incentive, law enforcement agencies would be fined for participating in something that the state officially deems unconstitutional. So the judge says you cannot do that. They apparently are going to be compelled to participate in federal gun control investigations and law enforcement.
Yeah, see, that doesn't fly. None of it flies. not a single bit of the suggestion by the court that we can't state that we can't say that the state is independent of the federal government in that regard. That's not going to hold up, I don't think. I think when this gets to the Supreme Court, they will strike down that ruling and reinstate SAPA. If the Second Amendment Preservation Act, tried to say we're going to block enforcement of any federal laws, and we got a call coming in. Let's get that here. If it said something to the effect of you're not allowed to enforce federal laws, or the federal government is not allowed to investigate or make arrests or anything like that,
right?
That would probably withstand the federal government's lawsuit, or not withstand it, but the federal government would have a case.
Right.
In this case right there, just saying we're not going to provide you resources, that's a 10th Amendment issue in addition to being a Second Amendment issue.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said earlier, this ruling here is a challenge to just the constitutional republic.
Right.
Essentially, the concept of the constitutional republic itself, which I hope is written into the majority decision that comes down from the Supreme Court on this bullcrap right here.
Right, exactly. So that's why I say it's not. We like to look at this as a Second Amendment issue, but I think you're right. I think it's a 10th Amendment issue. At 8:05, Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association is going to be joining us and talk about why they don't like the ruling, and what's next on this. Who we got still?
Dave is on line one. He wants to chat about this issue.
All right, Dave, you're on News Talk STL. What's your take?
Good morning, guys.
Hey.
Hey, the kind of piggyback on this is, you keep hearing people say, oh, well, if we just had red flag laws, that would help. Okay, well, there is kind of a red flag law. It's called restraining orders. That's where one side goes to a judge and says, Gabe scared me because sometimes he gets mad and he has guns and it just scares me, so I think you should protect me. Well, next thing you know, Gabe's getting served with a restraining order. And they're saying, you can't have guns.
And I'm like, wait, what?
It's almost like in society today, like the movie Minority Report. We don't want any crimes to take place. Oh, well, wait a minute, Kim Gardner. If you keep people in jail who have high recidivism rates, more than likely, you're going to cut down on crime. Or am I looking at this wrong, gents?
You're not looking at it wrong. Kimberly Gardner is saying no, but I have an ideological bent and I don't want to lock up criminals because they're oppressed. Is essentially what she's doing.
I don't know what the fix is, okay? But violating someone's rights is not the fix. You're never, ever going to stop someone's actions. You may catch them in the act, okay? You may catch them in the act, but you're never going to stop someone's thoughts or actions until they are in the act. There's no Minority Report, people. I'm not sure what to tell you. Maybe vote in the right prosecutors who hold people accountable, but you're not going to have this premonition where, today I think someone's going to go blow up the World Trade Center. It's not logical, as Spock would say.
Oh, yeah. Well, logic's out the window a long time ago. Dave, appreciate you being on News Talk STL. Thanks for being on the program, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, 314-912-1019. And by the way, I did get word last night that there's going to be another anti-Kimberly Gardner protest in a couple weeks.
Oh, really?
As well. So I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing here is when you look at what Dave was saying is the fix is never
The fix is never violating somebody's rights, which is how I think he said it, which is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case right here, the state government's not saying we're going to violate your rights. The state's government is saying we're not going to participate in the federal government's violation of your rights.
Right. It's like if you can't opt out of doing a bad thing, it's like what recourse do you have left? I mean, you're compelling states to do things that they don't want to do. I thought was kind of anti-freedom, and I thought freedom was kind of what we were about.
Well, it's supposed to be, but the federalism issue as well, and this is the bigger picture here, and I want to talk to Aaron about this at 8:05, is that the left, and unfortunately increasingly a lot of people on the right, are saying, and there is, like I said, there is a big government movement within the conservative. There's a lot of soul searching the conservative movement needs to do right now for a lot of different reasons. But one of those is saying, you know what, if we can just get a hold of Congress and then we can pass whatever laws and just implement them on all 50 states. So, Democrats, the left has control of, Congress up until the last election. And basically, let's pass laws and pass them on everybody. And those red states just have to do what they're told and they don't get to have their freedom stuff. Republicans want to take control, saying, okay, we're going to pass laws and bind all the blue states. Instead of saying, listen, there are laboratories of democracy.
Yes.
On this. Blue states are allowed to be stupid in a lot of ways. Are they allowed to violate constitutional rights? No, that's part of the balance in the federalism, and that's what these lawsuits tend to be about. But in this case right here, you've simply got a state saying, you're violating our constitutional rights. We are not going to participate. And that's all that it was.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to punish our law enforcement if they participate in it. They're not saying they're going to work against you. They're just saying that you don't get to use our resources for this. And then that federal issue gets fought at the federal level.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in terms of the Republican soul searching, I think one of the things that we need to be careful of is part of the big government creep, I think, in the conservative circles is an increased willingness to use the levers of government power, not necessarily to implement conservatism, but to restrain other aspects of government from getting out of control, which I think is a good impulse. But it strays so often and so easily into sort of a neo sort of tyrannical version of all that you have to be super, super careful about how you do that, how you go about it, how you word the laws that deal with all of these things. And I think we're just so caught up in the zeal of, it's like, finally, we're going to unleash the beast here, that we're going to get lost in it very quickly and get swallowed up by that big government beast.
Right. And we're seeing this, unfortunately, from some people that are right on an awful lot of stuff and are conservative on a lot of stuff. And one of the arguments can't be, well, they do it. Their big government's bad, so our big government's going to be good. In this case here, this wasn't big government.
Right.
This was, like you said, government restraining government.
Right.
And in one case, just simply saying you're not allowed to participate in the violation of our rights because Missouri officially respects the Second Amendment. And Attorney General Andrew Bailey is quoted as saying, if the state legislature wants to expand upon the foundational rights codified in the Second Amendment, they have the authority to do that. He's indicating that he's going to participate in an appeal, although there's been no announcement about that just yet. But then again, he's still got to review everything that Eric Schmidt did in defense of the Second Amendment when he was Attorney General, so he's got to get up to speed on that as well. But my guess, based on what we've seen from Andrew Bailey so far, is that he's going to actively participate in the appeal of this federal ruling.
Okay. All right.
We'll see.
Let's see where it goes.
All right. 314-912-1019. You know what's next here, guys?
What's that?
A big case of I told you so.
Here we go.
I told you so. One of the reasons I don't like the idea of these self-driving cars.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right, you're going to come at me.
I'm coming at you, dude. Right around 6:49 here on 119 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Seidenstricker Nobe is your John Deere partner for the land. Right now, we have affordable pricing on John Deere compact tractor packages with a mower and a loader starting as low as $216 a month. With our exclusive S&P 10-year warranty, this is your chance to add versatility and power to your outdoor lineup. Plus, be on the lookout for our 2023 spring tent sale schedule. Visit snpartners.com for more information.
Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer expires 4/30/23.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hey, it's Vic, and I'm here with Kathy Connor at Connor Roofing. Kathy, what makes Connor Roofing different?
Hey, Vic. I'm glad that you asked. I think that what really sets Connor Roofing apart is our relationship with our customers. It's very important to us to develop that trust with the homeowner. This is what has allowed us to serve our friends and our neighbors in the St. Louis area for 30 years. Whether we are doing a roof or a gutter repair or even a full replacement, you can count on Connor for quality service and workmanship.
Thanks, Kathy. To find out more, visit them at connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Hi, Jen Wallner here. As a former foster child myself, I have always been an advocate for foster children in our community. Angels Arms is an amazing organization that provides a stable, nurturing, and loving family environment for these children. They ensure these children have not only the childhood they deserve, but the resources needed to become successful, thriving adults. I truly believe that this organization is transforming lives, and I could not be more proud to be a small part of that accomplishment. For more information or to get involved, visit angelsarms.org.
Columbo and Katie.
A judge has revoked the SAPA bill. Control of the city police department could be changing, and Wednesday we'll talk about those issues and more with the insider's insider of local politics, Rodney Boyd, at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Picking a fight with you, Gabe, and my wife, Rachel.
Here we go.
Not really. I've been feeling a little bit like I'm just old and curmudgeonly when my wife and I debate whether or not we want the self-driving cars.
Right.
Because it was just a few days ago, there was a story out there about the vehicles, and they say, well, we want to equip them with eyes off the road technology.
Right.
Was what was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something you could get on the highway, kick back, read the paper, scroll on your phone, take a nap.
That's the one that excited me, but yeah.
Okay. So get this. One of those technical, news websites found out that Ford has filed a patent for a system that would remotely take control of your car, even to the point of repossessing it.
Wow.
Okay, so here's what's happened. This is really dystopian.
It is 1984 social credit score China kind of thing.
Yeah. So the article says, filed by Ford, the patent describes a system whereby a bank or a leasing company could remotely disable specific features like the air conditioning or the radio, or perhaps the car itself in cases where the person leasing the vehicle hasn't kept up with the payments. Okay, so it goes on to say that the patent also describes how it could lock you out of the car, remotely, or make conditional ones like allowing the owner to keep using the vehicle to go to work, but not using it after hours on the weekends because you're behind on your payments, or allowing you to go to like a doctor's office or a hospital, but otherwise controlling it somewhere else. The patent also includes allowances for autonomous vehicles, future autonomous vehicles, which could essentially repossess themselves and just be ordered to drive to an impound lot on its own without you doing it. Now, Ford told this news website, this techie news website, saying, we don't have any plans to deploy it. We submit patents on new inventions all the time. We're just getting it in there, but we don't have any intent. Don't worry, we're not actually going to do it. We just filed the patent for it.
Yeah, of course.
Now, think about how else this could be used. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The police say, wait a minute, that car looks suspicious. Hey, Central Command, pull that car over.
Yep.
Lock him in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Or they've even got on this one, they said that it would actually access like cameras on the car.
Right.
To see, wait a minute, are they in a garage? Somebody would actually be able to take a look. They're hiding the car. Now, if you don't make your payments on the car, your car gets repossessed. That's just the way that it goes.
Sure.
You know, but this kind of technology, because somebody may say, well, hey, if you buy a car and you don't make the payments, they should be able to get it back. Not arguing that whatsoever. I'm looking at the unintended or maybe intended consequences of this type of technology being deployed and everything that could go wrong with it.
Yeah, I know.
All right, come on, scientist. Come on, tech guy.
Okay.
Hit me back. Hit me back. Come on. Come on.
Let me throw this out first before you get to that.
Okay.
We've never had a vehicle that had OnStar. OnStar had that capability of accessing.
They can unlock your car.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and remote starting and stuff like
exactly.
that. Exactly.
And to me, it almost feels like OnStar 2.0, even though Ford is not in the OnStar system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I mean, you're not wrong.
That does scare me.
Well, and here's my take on it. Technology is always going to march forward on these things. We're always, I mean, the toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't shove it back in. That's every type of technology. Every time we make these leaps, it's going to get, the possibilities are always going to be endless, and a good portion, almost a majority of the applications are going to be bad.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, we never get ahead of these things from a sociological standpoint and a legal standpoint. I would say now would be the time to get your lawmakers involved to determine how such a system could be used legally, if at all, or simply make it illegal. I mean, when I was renting houses, I couldn't simply take the doors off the house and say, okay, you know, or unhook the AC and try to make it as uncomfortable for them as possible so they could leave because they haven't paid me rent in 4 months. I had to go through a legal process, and then I had to get a sheriff involved, and then only then, after a certain period of time, were they forced to leave. If I had a remote system that could simply lock them out of the house, there's no way the court would allow me to do such a thing.
Right.
So that's what where we need to go with this. Get the courts and get the law involved. Legislatures get ahead of the technology. Get somebody who actually knows what they're talking about to talk to you about it and how these things could be implemented, and we can discuss the legalities that way. That's the only way to get ahead of these technologies. Otherwise, they run rampant right over us.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of all the different ways it could be used. Hey, you know what? The court has some papers they want to serve you because someone's, I don't know, suing you or whatever the case is. And so, well, where are they? We can't find them to sue them. The what do you call it? Whoever delivers the papers that you're suing, whatever that person's process server.
Right.
You know what? So, hey, that's a court function. Oh, it looks like they're over here downtown. Hey, I'm nearby. Pull them over. I'm going to knock on the door. They're not. Roll down the window for them. Okay, here you go.
Jeez.
I mean,
oh, wow, yeah.
Think about that. Or, you know what? My husband is really angry with me, and I'm afraid he's having a breakdown. Go find him. Okay, well, we've tracked him here on the GPS system. We'll make sure he doesn't leave the city. And they also talked about in the patent a GPS thing to limit where you could drive.
Oh, yeah. You create a little boundary and everything like that. Oh, absolutely. You geofence people.
Yes.
And then to Stell's point, you know, he brought up the whole China-style social credit score stuff. If we get a government like that decides that, you know, okay, well, your online presence is harmful and you're spreading misinformation and you're doing all these things, we don't think you should be allowed to drive anymore. And so you wake up one morning and you can't get into your car to go to work.
And you certainly can't go to that rally or that meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere.
Oh, gosh.
Now,
yeah, you geofence
we're
it.
getting way out there running down a rabbit trail, but we're looking at the possibilities, and we're looking at them having seen this story for a couple minutes. You know that's been thought of in a lot of other areas as well. But somebody may say, wait a minute, if you're not paying your bills, they can go repossess the card. Nothing wrong with that, or lock you out of it. Okay, I'm even if I concede that part of it, you don't have the right to have that technology in there, especially once I pay for it. As Rebecca just said in the chat box, the car's not yours then if they can tap in and control it at any point. If I go buy a car with cash, or if I pay it off, and somebody can still say, no, we're going to lock you out because of XYZ. No, you don't have a right to do that at all.
Yeah, and imagine renting a car in that world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's really not your car.
Right.
Now they could really just kind of take control of it. Now a disgruntled employee could lock down every single car a certain office has rented.
Yeah.
And cause all kinds of mayhem.
Whoa.
All of this also relies on the technology that says that we have a right to know, or at least be able to find out where you are. None of your business. Yeah. All right, 314-912-101 now. We got some other stuff going on, but if you want some comments on this right after the second or the information segment, love to hear it right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Mexican investigators say it appears the 4 Americans kidnapped in Matamoros last week wound up in the middle of a gunfight between members of rival drug cartels. 2 of the U.S. citizens killed, the 2 survivors now in a hospital in Brownsville, Texas. Mexican police have 1 suspect in custody, say they're looking for others. Republican Senator Ted Cruz telling Fox that President Biden shares the blame for bloodshed on the border.
Joe Biden created the chaos at the border. Joe Biden stopped building the wall. He reinstated catch and release. He pulled out of Remain in Mexico. And what Joe Biden has done is he's turned these vicious narco-terrorists into multi-billionaires.
Where did COVID-19 come from? A House panel investigating the origins of the virus will hold its very first hearing later today.
Dr. Robert Redfield, who led the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention under President Trump, will appear before the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic. He has previously indicated that the virus originated from an accidental lab leak in Wuhan, China, a theory that was first dismissed as a conspiracy. To varying degrees of confidence, the FBI and the Department of Energy have concluded that the source of the pandemic was likely a leak from a lab. Edwin Mora, Capitol Hill.
The National Transportation Safety Board launching a special safety investigation of Norfolk Southern following a series of recent accidents, including the toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. The most recent mishap came yesterday. A dump truck and a train colliding in Cleveland. A conductor was killed. At least one person is dead in the mid-air collision of two small planes over Winter Haven, Florida. Witnesses say after the planes collided, they plunged into Lake Hartridge. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures have turned mixed. The Dow futures down 35 points. NASDAQ futures up 27 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. I knew we could not put off getting life insurance. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161 or go to SelectQuote.com now. That's 1-800-940-6161. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. Going to be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
If you want to know where my house is, just basically look for the Anton trucks right now, the Anton's vehicles, because over the past several months, man, my wife and I have relied on Anton's to improve our house, and man, did we pick the right place. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. I'm telling you, call them 314-338-3941. It's not just that they diagnosed the problem. We have a 1926 house. We love the house, and we had window units all through the upstairs, and that is just not cutting it in these St. Louis summers. That's going to be here before you know it. And so we called, and we wanted a central air system for the upstairs. And not only did they deliver it, they delivered the right solution, and they spotted problems that we didn't even know to ask about. So our home is so energy efficient right now, so much more than a 1926 house should be. You should do what Rachel and I did. 314-338-3941. Call Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. They did such a good job that when we decided to renovate our upstairs bathroom, which is what's happening right now, I called and had Anton's. I have Anton's doing the plumbing work literally right now. They'll be there probably in about 90 minutes to my house. Call them, 314-338-3941. AntonsHVAC.com is where you're going to learn more, not just about their heating and cooling solutions, but also about their plumbing offerings as well. Here's the thing, very professional staff. They will follow up and reminded us, hey, time to do the check for the, for the filters. And they came out and checked it for us to make sure everything's running great. It is. And also, this is the time, whether you had Anton's put in your HVAC system or not, get your unit checked now. Get it checked now. And also, you're going to find out whether it could be more energy efficient, whether or not there's something that could be at risk of breaking. You do not want that to happen when it's 100 degrees. So right now, when they've got plenty of availability, call 314-338-3941 and schedule your air conditioning check to make sure you don't have any problems this summer. Once again, 314-338-3941. How much do I like Anton's heating and cooling and plumbing? Well, just go by my house. You're going to see one of their trucks there today. Anton's HVAC. Once again, 314-338-3941.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson,
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer,
I triple dog dare ya! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get Up St. Louis,
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I'm going to say something I think a lot of people never thought you'd hear in this area.
What's that?
A Republican gets a win in a St. Louis City election.
Hey!
Seriously.
Nice.
Yeah, that actually happened. All right, I'm going to tell you what's going on there. Also, just ahead here at 7:20, Bernie Sanders has coffee and unions on the brain.
Both of them, huh?
Yeah, both. A very, very caffeinated authoritarianism.
Is that what they mean by feel the burn?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm Mike Ferguson. It's coming up on 7:08. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. The number is 314-912-1019. I've got to give a big congratulations to one person and one group here. In yesterday's Board of Aldermen elections in the city of St. Louis, Phil Menendez in Ward 2 got enough votes. He won a spot in the general election in April. Now, Phil Menendez, he's been in the studio with us here, and if you want to hear our conversations with him, just go to News Talk STL podcast. He's a Republican and backed by the St. Louis City Republican Party, running for the Ward 2 spot, like I said. So that's a victory. They've got the ranked choice voting, and he got enough 1 and 2 votes to advance. So congratulations to Phil. Also, congratulations to the St. Louis City Republican Party, which probably, 3, 4, 5 years ago was essentially written off by everybody as just a token social club. But they're doing the work, and this win, Gabe, is showing that you do the work and you can make advancements and you can get wins even in the most opposition-heavy places.
Hopefully it shows a crack in the armor.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the thing. I mean, we're talking about a city that's just been steeped in all of it, all of the blue everywhere, all the time, right? So, look, just a little bit of a win, a little bit of headway is all we need to get our foot in the door. And this is actually pretty big.
It could be a big win. Could be. I mean, it could be. I mean, could you imagine if there's at least one alderperson, and these are nonpartisan races that we've got, but most of the races went the way you would expect, extreme left wing.
Right.
But you do the work, and enough people said, I like that guy enough, we're going to give him a chance. So Phil Menendez is still in it. He still has a chance to at least win one of those seats. So that there could be a voice of opposition, a voice of common sense and economic and other good government's reality in the City Hall in St. Louis. Is it going to happen? I don't know. It's going to be an uphill fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely the underdog because what's going to happen is all the media who weren't paying attention to Ward 2 very much, they were looking at some of the other races, they're going to start going, hey, wait a minute. That guy's a Republican.
Surprise, surprise.
That guy's a conservative. We can't have that. So he's gonna get a whole new line of opposition in St. Louis City. He's the underdog without a doubt. But congratulations to him. Congratulations to the city GOP who just did the work, and now they got to go out and do the work all over again.
Yeah, I mean it's going to keep going. I mean there's a lot more to do. You can't take too big of a victory lap here.
Right.
You wave. thanks for the positive response here, but now it's back to work again. You got to get back into the gym.
In absolutely a huge way. But it does show how effective that group is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot better to be in the fight, and this is something that I think Republicans have fallen down on in a lot of ways. It's a lot better to be in the fight and lose than to simply deliver a victory to the enemy by forfeit.
Right, and in this case, be in the fight and win.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, positive things happen when you're actually in the fight, guys.
Yes.
It's kind of amazing.
And you do it the right way. You don't do it the gadfly way. You go and you do the work and you go knock on the doors and you ask people if you can put a sign out and you answer their questions, and that's what they did. Matt Catrabo ran a very good race as well. Didn't make it to the general election in his ward. But in this case, you've got a step in the right direction. So once again, now it's the playoffs. Now it's the championship game, and so congratulations to everybody involved.
Yep.
All right. We were talking about the Ford thing.
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit ago.
the cars.
I was thinking of a couple of. If you're just joining us, what's happened is because we had a lot of people like commenting and stuff on it, and so what's happening is Ford has filed a patent that would essentially allow them or a third party who's authorized to take control of your car.
Right. Just
and they say
all the function of the car.
Yeah, they're like, well, if you get behind on your payments, then the bank should be able to repossess the car or lock you out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember a few times when I was much younger, when I first got digital cable, I forgot to pay the bill. They shut down the cable. You called a number. I'm like, okay, fine. Here's the thing. I forgot to pay the bill. Then they turn it right back on the spot. Okay, well, I didn't pay the bill. I mean, that's the way it goes. But when you think of all the things that could happen with this and who would get control and who would get access, we should not be handing over remote control to any other parts of our lives as possible.
No, that stuff's scary.
Rebecca's got some thoughts on this. Rebecca, I've just got a couple minutes before the information break, but what do you think? Yep, you're on the air.
Two short things. First of all, they keep doing all this junk. When are they going to make my car like George Jetson's?
You want the flying car, right?
Yeah, the flying car, yeah.
Yeah. And second of all, what about all those guys with the crooked nose and a gun in their back pocket that repo cars? What's going to happen to those guys?
See, putting people out of work.
Mm-hmm. See, there
you go.
Automating another business.
Another, automation. Thanks, guys.
You got it. Thanks, Rebecca. I mean, you can't even say that they're going to go work as grocery store cashiers because they've handed that over and make that all automated too.
Mm-hmm, basically, yeah. Now to the flying cars thing, the problem is, see, people are bad at driving. We don't want to make them bad at flying too. So you actually need the autonomous capability first before you get to the flying, so the computer can fly the car. Because the computer's going to fly the car better than us.
Doesn't the computer basically fly most of the commercial jets as it is right now?
Yes, for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah, pilots usually are in charge of landing and takeoff. Those are the hardest parts of flight.
Okay.
Everything else is pretty easy, so you just hit
Cruise
the autopilot
control,
and yes.
All right, hey, quick note here. I know we got just a couple minutes here. I want to sneak this one in real quick. Interesting election turnouts in Oklahoma yesterday. Voters in Oklahoma defeat a proposal for recreational marijuana. Chris DeMaio from Fox News explains.
The question was the only issue on the ballot Tuesday. It would have legalized pot for those over 21. Oklahoma would have been the 22nd state to allow recreational marijuana use. The question was opposed by various religious groups, law enforcement, and prosecutors. They argued legal marijuana would harm children and lead to more crime. The state, however, already has one of the most robust medical marijuana programs in the country. Chris DeMaio, Fox News.
10% of Oklahoma residents have a medical marijuana card already. If you've spent any time in Oklahoma, and I have, I used to do some business in Oklahoma City, this vote does not surprise me.
Really?
At all.
So Stella, you mentioned this is the Bible Belt striking back. He's like,
I think so, and like you, Mike, we've also been down there. I had back when I played some b-ball at SLU, visited Tulsa when they were in the Missouri Valley Conference with St. Louis U, and I remember what that city was like. Well, you've got Oral Roberts University there,
yeah,
and Oklahoma City. A lot of those towns are very much considered to be in the Bible Belt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, without doubt. That's why I'm not surprised at all, that this is how it went. And it was a last-minute push, as DeMaio was reporting. It was literally some hundreds of thousands of dollars and a lot of basically a coordinated effort by churches to get out a no vote on this. And they were outspent like 10-1 or something ridiculous like that. And voters still rejected it. Now, I mean, otherwise, all around the country, I mean, you can debate around the edges, but generally, the spikes in crime and stuff just haven't happened. Of course, recreational marijuana hasn't been illegal that long in the country, so I don't know that we have enough information on that around the country. But, Missouri is also one of the most conservative states in the country, and it was passed overwhelmingly. So Oklahoma is just very, very culturally conservative, religious conservative. I mean, like think back to like the 80s, 90s sort of conservative Christian coalition type of politics, and that's what you've got. That's why,
religious right.
Yeah, religious right. That's why I'm not surprised to see that Oklahoma rejected this measure, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so just ahead here. Oh, what do we have? Oh, you know what? How would you like to have your coffee and leave room for politics at the top?
Okay, I guess.
All right, I'll tell you what's going on here. Bernie Sanders is hopping mad about his venti ununionized whatever latte thing that you would get at a coffee shop.
With extra foam.
I'll tell you, that's right, with extra frothing for the mouth. I mean foam. All right, that's coming your way here in about 3 minutes on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Before you blow us all away.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Happy Hump Day Wednesday. We'll have candidate from Missouri Attorney General Will Sharf at 4:05. At 4:25, Mike Ferguson, that morning show guy.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Kellyanne Conway, I wanted to get your thoughts on what happened with Don Lemon last week.
My experience with him is he's always been a misogynist, sexist jerk. His treatment of me on his program and then his treatment of me when I wasn't on his program has been abhorrent. I don't know how you train people away from something that they believe. He clearly believed it wasn't a slip of the tongue.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Are you wanting to improve the look and efficiency of your home? Well, one of the best and easiest ways you can do that, get some new windows. Window World, simply the best for less. You can give them a call today at 314-993-1800. Over 20 years in the business in the St. Louis area, over 70,000 satisfied customers. That's because Window World uses double strength glass, gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. They've got the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They've got 18 months, same as cash financing. You can get them today. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com. That's windowworld.com.
Fox News commentary.
California has finally gotten rid of most of its forced face diapering. Took you long enough. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. They do not care if the value of your retirement is sacrificed. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
California has finally gotten the memo. COVID is over. The state has, alas, rolled back its mask mandate for what liberals deem high-risk indoor areas such as hospitals, medical offices, long-term care, correctional facilities, homeless shelters, emergency evacuation centers, and places designated for cooling and warming stations. Those will be face diaper optional. So you know what that means. Most liberals are still going to wear their precious face masks alone in their cars, but whatever, to each their own. In addition to the great unmasking, starting April 3rd, healthcare workers will no longer be forced to get the experimental COVID jab. Again, glad the most progressive state in the nation is still living like it's 2020. But Governor Newsom still has a love affair with power, so you are far from out of the woods yet. Get out while you still can, but if you're a Democrat, please don't come here. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Bernie Sanders takes his coffee unionized. That's how he takes it.
Oh, boy.
By the way, 8:05, our friend Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association going to be with us here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Because if you haven't heard yet, a federal judge struck down Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act. Kit and caboodle, the whole thing is struck down. It is, as of this moment, not in force. So that's going to be appealed. So we'll get the update from Aaron, not his brother Chris, Aaron Dorr, just ahead here in about 40 minutes or so. All right. The leader of, I think, the country's biggest, coffee shop company, Starbucks, I would think is the biggest in the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dunkin' is better, but I think Starbucks is probably the biggest.
Might be.
Yeah. Okay. So the leader's coming to Congress to testify and talk about allegations of union busting. Fox News' Madeline Rivera has that story for us.
Starbucks interim CEO Howard Schultz has agreed to testify before a Senate committee in late March about the chain's alleged union busting practices. Senator Bernie Sanders is leading the effort to roast Schultz.
I want Mr. Schultz to tell us that at long last he is going to stop his illegal activity, that he's going to sit down with the union and negotiate a contract.
Sanders is demanding Schultz testify about the roughly 80 complaints lodged by the National Labor Relations Board against Starbucks. Just last week, a federal judge ruled that the coffee chain violated labor laws while responding to a unionization campaign in Buffalo, New York.
All right, about 300 Starbucks locations have voted to unionize. Not one, and by the way, some of those are in the St. Louis area here as well. Not one of them have negotiated a union contract with the company yet. So the workers have said, yep, we're joining the union, and Starbucks has not dealt a contract with them. So essentially what we've got here is, does this mean that the left now has a reason to be angry at Starbucks, and Starbucks already gives us on the right plenty of reasons not to like them? I mean, this is a company that has said they're taking some of their profits and they put them into a fund that to subsidize abortions and so-called sex change operations. I mean, it's kind of funny to me to watch the left wing go after a left wing company.
Yeah, on the few occasions that they actually do the circular firing squad, this is when I like to sit back with a glass of tea or something.
Nice tea or a cup of Caldi's coffee.
Caldi's coffee. There you go.
Dunkin' Donuts or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Just, hey, I'll take McDonald's coffee. See, my thing is, I've never been one of these coffee aficionados.
Mm-hmm.
It's like coffee kind of tastes the same to me regardless. So I never understood the appeal of paying $5, $6, $7 for a drink that tastes the same as every other drink that I've had, every other version of it.
And I say this without any politics involved. I think Starbucks coffee is awful.
You don't
my personal opinion, I think it's over roasted. I think it tastes burnt to me.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, I mean, now you don't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah.
And you're certainly not going to have to worry about it when they finally do unionize and the cost goes from $5 for a grande to a $10 for a grande.
So many layers to this, Stell. I mean, can you imagine somebody working part-time at a coffee shop feeling, I demand a union? Now, I get it. St. Louis is a big union town. I get it. I've got a bunch of my friends in different unions. But when you are at Starbucks, your job is to wipe off the table and literally pull the thing down so the coffee falls into the cup, hand somebody their slice of lemon loaf. I mean, it's a basic retail job. I mean, it's a food service job. So, but they're demanding that they have to unionize. I don't know if that's because of Starbucks liberal culture or whatever it is, but I just think it's like the left eating their own on this, and I'm here for it.
I'm guessing it may come down to their pay. I don't know what their pay scale is at Starbucks. As someone who grew up in the restaurant business and also worked in the grocery business as a kid, boy, things have changed. Mm-hmm. But granted, that was a long time ago. I realize that. But if it's that many franchises, that want to unionize, if there's that many stores, boy, this will be an interesting confrontation.
Starbucks may be in trouble here.
I don't know that they're franchises, though. I think those are all owned by the
They're
company.
O&O?
I think they're O&Os.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I could be wrong, and if you work at one of these and your union allows you to, give me a call and let me know at 314-912-1019. And it's funny because Starbucks was like, over the course of the years, it's like we're going to have tuition reimbursement, and we're going to offer health care to even our part-time employees. And so they're doing all of these things that are supposed to have made the left happy, but then at some point, somebody with a half a shaved head and a nose ring decides I want to be in a union, and then they're the bad guy of the left right now, and Bernie Sanders is hopping mad over it.
I just like to watch the snake eat its tail. Go ahead. Keep going.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Starbucks say, well, fine, go work at Dunkin' or go work at Caldi's or some other local place if you'd like to. I remember when I worked in the grocery business back in the day, and it was with national food stores. That was all union, and I'm just a kid, 17, 18 years old, working there as a summer job. They were union, and I saw that money float out of my paycheck every couple of weeks. I thought, golly, this isn't really fair. I'm just a kid trying to get, gas money so I can get back to school in the fall. I think back on those days, and I'm guessing these folks are thinking the same thing. Gee whiz, can't we work something out here?
What it was funny is because what they'll do is they'll vote to unionize, and so they'll want, I don't know, they're going to want more money, and I'm pretty sure that Starbucks pays a lot more than minimum wage as it is.
I would think so.
That's my guess. I don't know what their standard, base pay is, but I know it's a lot more than that. And so they're going to say, yes, we demand this number, X number of dollars, and we want these benefits and all this. Okay, well, we can't afford all of you, so we got to let somebody go. And that's how it works.
Oh yeah, and the workload is going to be distributed among the people who are remaining. So all of those people who are left are going to be scrambling, especially with the gigantic long lines you see at these Starbucks. They're going to be scrambling all day, every day, and then they're going to complain about their working conditions.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I can't get over some of these, not necessarily TikToks, but these selfie videos of people crying about the fact that they actually had to work for a couple hours a day. It's like, how are you going to deal with those kids when they join the union?
Now, in addition to my not liking the taste of their coffee, and that's truly why I try not to go to Starbucks.
I'm with you on that.
I just don't care for it. I mean, that's just my personal taste. But when they set up we're going to help pay for your travel to go, get a gender affirming, that's not really your gender, but a sex change, which doesn't change your sex. But anyway, when they decided they were going to spend their profits on that, and they want to subsidize the cost of travel for abortion. Because remember, Starbucks said if you live in a state where abortion becomes illegal after the Dobbs ruling, that they are having a fund set up that they will help pay for your travel to go get an abortion in a state where it is legal. So when you're buying something from Starbucks, you are contributing to subsidizing somebody's abortion in this country. That's just what you're doing. I'm not saying some of their food isn't tasty and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying it's something to keep in mind when you can get coffee anywhere. And to Gabe's point, you can also get it at half the price.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's up with all of these business people who make all of these decisions on ideological lines as opposed to business lines. Because the thing is, if I own a coffee shop, I want everybody who drinks coffee, I want in my store drinking my coffee. So I'd rather not jump into any of these, obvious fights to divide my potential customer base. Why would I do that?
It doesn't make sense. But that's the capture that happens with the activism that we've seen. And, you've got multiple generations that are brought up being taught that everything is an activist, and, it doesn't matter where you are, you've got to use it for activism. You can't just have commerce and business and employees and, a life outside of that. And that's where this is where we've ended up. So, Howard Schultz is going to end up testifying today, and, Bernie Sanders is going to go crazy on him because of union busting without stopping to think how ridiculous it is that a coffee barista wants a union. But if that's what they want to vote for, they can get whatever good they can out of it and whatever bad that comes with it. They just don't. They're going to be surprised when there is bad.
I'm going to say something controversial.
Uh-oh.
I think most unions should go away. I don't think most unions need to exist in 2023 America. I don't think so.
Union membership is way down.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't think they need the union either.
Yeah.
So why are they so powerful? Why are they so big? Why are they still out here with laws requiring people to join them? I don't think any of that stuff is necessary. I agree that yes, I'm thankful that they fought for some of these worker rights that a lot of us enjoy, today. But what are they fighting for right now? What major impediment to worker capabilities, and worker safety and all these other things are they using their money to oppose?
Depends on whether there's a D or an R.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
yeah.
they're all right. So they're
And
working
union,
to oppose
and
ours.
Union membership in St. Louis has stayed up. I mean, it's a union town.
Sure.
St. Louis is a union
St.
town
Louis
without
City,
a doubt. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see the stickers.
Yeah, you see them all over the place.
Anti-right to work stickers.
Oh
yeah,
that still show up
they keep
everywhere.
going.
Yeah, right to work is a dead issue in Missouri probably for the next 10 years.
Seems that way.
It just ain't happening. It's just not going to happen in the state anytime soon.
You want my goofy coffee story? I'll relate to you really quick.
Yeah.
As a kid who grew up in Chicago in the restaurant business, folks up there, at least back in the day when they wanted extra cream and extra sugar, it was called Boston style. And you would just walk into a restaurant and say, hey, I need a coffee to go Boston. And you knew to put in extra cream and sugar.
Wow.
So when Kathy and I went to Boston in the mid-'80s, and you have Dunkin' Donuts everywhere. We went to one downtown in Boston, and I thought, well, this is a good chance to ask them. So I walked in, asked the waitress, do you guys have a special name by any chance for if someone comes in and asks for a coffee to go with extra cream and sugar? Because in Chicago, we call it Boston style. And she looked at me and she said, well, that's interesting because we call it Chicago style.
No, do they really?
She did.
The same thing.
The same thing.
Wow.
Extra cream and sugar.
Yeah, totally stunned me. I was not expecting that. Oh, yeah, sure, we call it Boston and Chicago style. Okay, yeah, that's cool. All right.
Why don't you just walk in and say, hey, can I get a diabetes to go?
At a Tim Hortons in Canada, they call it a double-double.
Oh, okay.
Double cream, double sugar.
Yeah, there was a Tim Hortons by my house, but that went out of business a couple years ago.
Oh, I'm so sad about that, by the way. We used to come down to that way.
Yeah.
We had one downtown here that also
Yeah, that's right.
closed
That's
up.
right. Yep.
Same franchisee. He overextended himself.
Yeah. All right. 314-912-1019. Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts everywhere in New England. And then it's a Caribou, like up north. Minnesota, Wisconsin, places like that.
Chicago area, too. I've seen Caribou.
Yep. All right. Still ahead. A little bit later on today, we're going to talk to Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association at 8:05. And maybe one of the worst ideas for a reality show / game show you are ever going to hear is coming your way at 7:50 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. It'll be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here, excited to tell you about one of our newest clients. I've been a customer of them for years, Professional Irrigation Systems. If you're tired of dragging hoses around your yard to keep your grass alive every summer, now's the time to make your life easier. Residential irrigation installs in one day, custom designed for your property. They will enhance your curb appeal. They've also got landscape lightings, makes the architecture of your home stand out, making all your neighbors envious. Fertilization packages as well for all your lawn care needs and great financing options. ProIrrigation.com, 636-692-4441, ProIrrigation.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo reminding you to do what we did and get the jump on spring cleaning by calling Zero Res today. After the beating dished out by kids, the dog, and just general traffic, our home would not be the same without Zero Res. And right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Plus, they'll throw in a free hallway and take $75 off an air duct cleaning if you just mention the Colombo special. Call and book now at 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
The Republican Party, City of St. Louis, stands in solidarity with Attorney General Andrew Bailey in his decision to lead the process to remove Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner from office. As we and Republican candidates for alderman have highlighted, she has pandered to perpetrators over providing justice for victims. Her incompetence has devastated our police force morale. Kim Gardner must go. The future of our city is at stake. Read our full statement at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire.
Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Right around 7:50. Okay, you guys know that I can't stand like entertainment news.
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't want to sound too snobby, so don't take this the wrong way, but it's beneath me. But don't take that as being snobby.
Sure. It's vacuous and stupid.
It is.
But occasionally we like to indulge in the vacuous and stupid.
But but there's a couple of these I think point to are these symptoms of a bigger problem?
Mm-hmm.
Not that government should solve, but just maybe like heart problems throughout the country.
Oh yeah, it's our entertainment is emblematic of our societal ills.
Right, the entertainment that actually makes it, because they try to force stuff on us, and sometimes it flops, and sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So at 7:50, I found what appears to be an actual game show / reality show that's coming to a very well-known channel. I think it's real. It looks like it's getting covered like it's real. I don't think it's a prank.
Okay.
And if it is actually true, because I've watched a promo trailer for it, I think it is highlighting just an awful set of ethics and morality. And you found another one.
I found one. It may be worse, but I think we'll compare. We'll compare horrible TV shows.
Right. And what's it say about us?
Yes.
And before anybody says, "Oh, there you go, I thought you guys were small," I'm not talking about government stopping either one.
No. This is just societal issues that
Yes.
perhaps you as an individual can address on some level.
Yes, precisely. So we'll get to that around 7:50. All right. If you are not paying a tax on something right now, and then a law passes and you have to pay a tax on that you didn't have to pay taxes before on that, is that an additional new tax, or is that a tax increase, or is it not a new tax?
That's a new tax.
Okay, well, the city officials in the city of St. Charles disagree with you, Gabe.
Of course they do.
Yeah. So
because money.
Here's what's going on here is in St. Charles. We're talking about city of St. Charles voters. They're being asked in April in the municipal election to approve a 2% sales tax on online purchases. So you live in the city of St. Charles, or your business is in the city of St. Charles, and you're buying something on whatever, Amazon, Walmart.com, Wayfair, you name it. They want to charge a 2% sales tax, because that sales tax is not charged right now. Right. Now, there is a 2% sales tax already in the city. You go into a store and you buy a burnt cup of coffee from Starbucks off there, you're going to pay a 2% sales tax. You go buy, a book at the old Main Street bookstore down there, you're going to pay a 2% sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
And the city officials there are saying, well, we need this approved so we can add sales taxes on the online purchases as well. It goes back to the Wayfair decision, not a few years ago or so.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I'm looking at Channel 4's coverage of this, and they're quoting the city administrator. He says, "Well, no, this is not a new tax. It's not an additional tax."
Oh, sure. Okay.
What?
All right. So how are you going to square that circle?
Right. So their argument, and 314-912-1019, if you got any question or you got some thoughts on this as well. I maintain that there's an activity that I am not taxed for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I were to buy the same thing somewhere else, I get taxed on it, but
Sure.
I buy it here, I don't get taxed on it.
Right.
And they're saying, well, we want to apply that tax here, so therefore it's not a new tax or an additional tax. They're trying to basically say raise taxes on yourself, but it's not really a tax increase. It's not a new tax.
this argument. This argument. I don't understand how anybody can reasonably and logically apply these words to this situation.
I think that's why they're called politicians.
Oh, that's what the skill is. Okay,
Right.
I get it. To be able to apply illogical words to logical situations.
Yes.
Well, it's like that. It's like that old joke when you break down the word politicians into the Latin origins. Poly meaning many. Ticks meaning blood-sucking insects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so politics.
Politics. Exactly. So, and here's the thing is, I get that government wants to raise more revenue.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I get that. And I get that in this case here, the Chamber of Commerce types have basically become extensions of big government.
Yes.
That's really what which is unfortunate because 20 years ago that really wasn't the case. The Chamber of Commerce types were the ones that were pushing back against government, saying, no, that's private sector stuff. Get out of my way. Now they're basically looking at government as the means to, get as much cronyism as they can. And of course, what happens in the media is they go to some local store, and KMOV did this, and talk to the business owner. He's like, yeah, he goes, I got to charge this 2% tax, but if somebody buys the same thing online, they don't have to charge it. So somebody can buy it from them and not me and save a couple bucks. It's not fair.
Except
That's their argument.
Except it is.
So why is it fair?
It is fair because the thing is, if I were to purchase something on Amazon and I wanted it the same day, I wanted it in my hands on that day that I hit the button to say, I have to pay a premium on the if it even exists, if the option even exists, I have to pay a premium for delivery. That's usually more than 2% for me to get the product in my hands that day. When I walk into a store in St. Charles, though, I can have the product in my hands the same day, and I'm only paying a 2% tax.
Yeah, you're just walking out with it.
Yeah, so it's actually if having it right then is more important to me, then I would opt to buy in the city.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate against myself a little bit here.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Has anybody in here, Stell, Gabe, has anybody in here ever decided that you need to do a big ticket purchase? I mean, hundreds of dollars, whatever it is, electronics or who knows. And you went into a local store to check it out and test it out or look at it and then said, okay, but I can get it cheaper on Amazon. And so you went into the local business and you kicked the tires a little bit and said, okay, yep, that's the model we want. Grab a picture of it and then go home and order it or order it on your phone right there to save money.
I have to be totally honest with you. Philosophically, especially with my wife, we won't do that. We'll go ahead and support the local business, even if it's a small business, charging more, even if it's 10, 15% more. We feel like we want to support the local small business.
I've done that.
I've done it too.
Yeah, I have.
Well, shame on you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding.
You're not wrong. I mean, on some level, I kind of feel bad. I mean,
Right.
but usually, if we're talking big ticket items, I'm usually going to like one of these big box stores or something like that. Anyway, so it's like I don't feel that bad. It's not like Home Depot or Best Buy is gonna feel it as much if I'm doing that. And sometimes I can order online on Best Buy online.
Yeah.
Cheaper than buying it from the store at Best Buy.
Yeah, because they will ship it to the store or ship it right to you for cheaper.
Yeah.
But in this KMOV story, City Administrator Lawrence Dabrowski, and I don't know him, he's arguing that it's not a double tax, which he's correct, it's not. Because you're going to pay it one way or the other. And he says that nobody is ever going to be double taxed. You either would pay the sales tax in a physical location or you're going to use the tax if you're buying it online. And he says the sales tax could give the city up to $4 million a year. So here's really what it's all about. He says inflation is going up, costs are going up, but our revenues aren't keeping pace. So you're going to make things more expensive for the people who live and do business in your city.
But are they trying to support brick and mortar stores and the
Well, yeah.
families that own them in those small towns?
It's a protectionist thing.
Yes.
I mean, it is. It's trying to make it more expensive to buy online. And so they're trying to
Force the consumer into
They're
the
trying to
local
push the
businesses.
consumer into that, but that's not I maintain that's not the role of government. That's not government's job.
Well, and I think it's even if it was the role of government, I mean, or even if the government were to be the vehicle that we're talking about using to get more revenue and things like that, I think they always go about it the wrong way. They always make assumptions like, okay, all things being equal, if we add a tax here, we're going to have this much more money. Except the thing is, once you add the tax, all things aren't equal anymore. People respond to the difference in prices. People respond to the difference in the presence of these taxes. So the thing is, it never works out the way they predict it's going to. So I would argue that the better thing to do would be to make it cheaper to do business in the town by cutting taxes or cutting regulations or making making it a friendly environment, a more friendly environment to do things, so you draw more people in than doing it this way. It's kind of like a business. Businesses can either decide to raise prices in order to increase revenue, or they can lower prices to try and increase volume.
Right.
And typically the volume difference is bigger than the price increase differences.
Now, somebody can make a purchasing decision based on 2%. Probably not.
Well, probably not.
Yeah,
no,
probably not. And
No.
St. Charles is a lot better place to do business than St. Louis County, for
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
So, but I just hate the argument.
Yeah.
Something is not taxed right now, but it will be taxed if you pass this. But it's not a new tax rate tax increase.
Yeah.
That's BS.
Honestly, if the difference between the online and the in-store is 2%, like let's say I actually did the calculation and looked at the price, and it's 2%. That's basically a few bucks if we're talking about the average priced item, not a big ticket item. I'm buying it in the store.
Even though you're paying $1 or $2 more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because I get it now.
Exactly. Yep.
So now if the price is bigger, if the price difference is bigger and I can get it a lot cheaper online, I was going to go online anyway, even if you put that 2% tax on it. So it's like I don't buy the argument that it's going to necessarily benefit the stores.
Right.
I guess some of it may have to do with philosophical differences. We just had to buy a refrigerator,
Mm-hmm.
and Kathy specifically went to the big box stores, looked at all of them, got the prices, and then went to the small dealer in downtown Washington, Missouri, and said, "This is what we're looking for." It was a little more expensive, but she wanted to get it at the small appliance store in Washington, and decided to do it that way. So it may just come down to a family making philosophical decisions.
I wish people would put more, ethics and philosophical decisions into everyday purchases as well,
Sure.
in addition to financial ones as well. All right, 314-912-1019. Really, really bad, immoral TV reality shows. We've got 2 of them for you. Does that say anything about us collectively?
It does.
It really might. I think the one I found is worse than the one that you found.
Okay, we're gonna have a competition here. I think the listener should decide which one of these shows is worse.
TV reality raunch off. Coming at 7:51 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get your phone primed.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Larry Connors, USA.
And I'm against it. I'll fight it every step of the way, and so should you. And the parents who send their kids to this private school, we need to have a come to Jesus meeting.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Seidenstricker Nobe is your John Deere partner for the land. Right now, we have affordable pricing on John Deere compact tractor packages with a mower and a loader starting as low as $216 a month. With our exclusive S&P 10-year warranty, this is your chance to add versatility and power to your outdoor lineup. Plus, be on the lookout for our 2023 spring tent sale schedule. Visit snpartners.com for more information.
Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer expires 4/30/23.
There's only one unforgivable crime in America today, and that's standing up against the left. This is Mark McCloskey, proud to join the News Talk STL team, and I plan on committing that crime every chance I get on the air and every day of our lives. And I encourage all of the listeners and all the people of America to stand up against the left, to reclaim our freedoms, and we're going to do it on this radio station and throughout the country.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
Join me on this quest to preserve our freedoms and make sure this government works for us.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Even in these uncertain times, Missouri lawyers are here to help. If your income has been impacted by the current global crisis, or if you qualify as a low-income household, you can have your legal questions answered for free at missouri.freelegalanswers.org. You can ask up to 5 questions, and they'll be answered by a lawyer licensed in Missouri at no cost to you. Missouri lawyers want you to know you are not alone. Get free answers to your legal questions at missouri.freelegalanswers.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Bar.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
I saw a promotion for a new TV show that's apparently coming this spring. I'm going to reserve a little bit of space for thinking this might be a prank, but
maybe
it's being covered by other media as something that's very real. And I think it's absolutely says something terrible about us, because if it's real, a lot of people are going to watch it and get into it. Gabe also found an upcoming show as well.
No, it's going.
Okay.
It's on.
It's on now.
It's
Okay.
on right now.
So here's what we're going to do. You take a minute or two and describe what you found. I'm going to tell you which one that I found, and I'm actually going to play the 30-second promo that I found.
Oh, jeez.
You tell me which is worse, 314-912-1019, and does this say anything about, like, us collectively? What did you find?
Okay, show number 1. It's called MILF Island, MILF, and I'm not going to explain too much into what that stands for. I would just say be very careful if you do a Google search.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so
yes.
the idea is, ladies in there, I think it's like over 40, or some of them over 50. Plastic surgery all over the place. I'll tell you that much. And they're out looking for love, or at least looking for hookups.
So are they looking for love?
No, not really. No, not at all. They come to this place looking for hookups with hot young guys, right? And here's the twistaroo. All the hot young guys are the sons of the other contestants.
Wow.
You didn't see that one coming,
No.
did you? So we got moms and sons looking to hook up with other moms and sons on this show.
Wow.
And the alcohol's flowing and crazy talk is going all over the place. I have not personally watched any of this show except for clips on a YouTube channel that I frequent. And he said, I'm watching it so you don't have to. And his descriptions are enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is this like a contest, or this is just let's see what kind of debaucherous thing happens, and it's a voyeuristic thing?
I haven't caught wind of the contest aspect of it, except that the producers every once in a while, throw out. He's like, okay, well, here, describe the first time you lost your cherry, and here's the I don't know. We'll play a game of Pictionary. Kind of a gross game of Pictionary.
Isn't it just life in L.A.?
That's life in L.A. I'm pretty sure that this is a sketch comedy about life in L.A.
All right. Okay. We all agree that's pretty gross.
It's uber
pretty
gross.
gross.
It's super gross.
I think mine's worse.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Okay. 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cannon.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Nick Cannon has fathered 13 children by 6 different women.
Yeah.
And so...
Did you play in the NBA?
No. Yeah, he's like a professional celebrity or something.
Yes, he's a professional.
I know he's like a host on one of the karaoke shows.
Yeah. He was an actor at first, and then he got married to Mariah Carey and blew up a little bit just because of that. And then they divorced, and now he's out doing his thing.
He's now fathering Western civilization.
Right.
Okay. So there's a show that is coming this spring. It has been announced. This is why I'm like, is this real? Here's the promo.
You're on a game show right now.
Kevin Hart and Nick Cannon are coming to E! for the mother of all game shows.
Having my baby with Nick Cannon. You got pyro? Yeah. You're going to get some contestants that want to have your baby.
We're not kidding around.
Eeny, meeny, miny. Let's go!
Who's Having My Baby with Nick Cannon, hosted by Kevin Hart. This spring, only on E!
So what do you win?
No.
You win child support.
No.
Literally, this is a game show, and literally, this is a reality show. Assuming this is real, in that the winner gets to be the seventh baby mama for a guy who is notorious for fathering children irresponsibly.
This is a baby mama show for real?
It's a baby mama show for real.
But it's Kevin Hart, so I gotta think that this is a sketch.
I'm wondering.
I mean, it's oh gosh. Now I have to look this up.
See, here's the thing: is that I found coverage of this. I found coverage of it in it's Uproxx, the kind of the celebrity culture website that deals with a lot of celebrity culture stuff, and I don't but they're covering it like it's. I don't know if it's. I am hoping that this is a prank that I'm kind of falling for, but they've got the whole promo and everything.
Yeah, it's coming up on E!
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now.
All right, okay. LA Times asked the question, is Kevin Hart and Nick Cannon having baby a real show? Now, Rolling Stone suggests that it's a fake show.
That's what I'm wondering. It's really weird.
So it says, Nick Cannon and Kevin Hart promote fake Who's Having My Baby game show. Entertainment's star. It has little stars on either side. It's not quotes, but little stars on either side of fake. Entertainment's fake show.
Okay, I hope that's the case.
I'm hoping it is. I mean, it's Kevin Hart.
That's what I saw when it said Kevin Hart hosting. I'm like, I don't know if this is real or not.
Now, the last time I saw Kevin Hart and Nick Cannon together on anything was on what was basically a fake reality show called Real Husbands of Hollywood. So that's what gives me pause on whether or not this is real. But here's the thing, though. We think it could be real.
Oh, and it would probably get good ratings.
It would get absolutely great ratings. There would be a lineup for people wanting to join season 2.
Yeah.
That's actually, I think, the bigger thing about this story is that both of these shows, MILF Island and Who's Having My Baby as a game show, those ideas are not foreign to this current society.
No, not in the least bit.
Which one's worse, though?
And they could be sponsored by the Babylon Bee.
They could
be. Jeez.
That would be awesome.
Which one's worse? Tell us.
If mine's real, I say mine.
That one's probably worse.
Yeah.
I would say that one's worse because you're bringing a baby into it, man.
Oh, all right. Just ahead here, Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association. Let's talk about Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act getting struck down by a judge yesterday.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
I'm here with Dr. Howard Wall. Howard, we're hearing a lot of debate over inflation, but just to back up a little bit, what is inflation?
Inflation occurs when the economy has too much money chasing too few goods. That extra money sloshing around has to go somewhere, and it ends up as higher prices for just about everything.
So what does transitory inflation mean?
Well, there are temporary things like pandemics, wars, and such that restrict supply and raise the prices of sensitive goods like oil. But the root cause of sustained inflation, like we've been seeing, is money. As happens when inflation sets in, fingers are pointed at corporate greed and price gouging, as if those things rise and fall with the economy. Don't be fooled. Loose money got us into this mess, and only tighter money will get us out of it.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
Mexican police say they have one suspect in custody. They're hunting for others in the abduction of 4 Americans in Matamoros last week. 2 of the victims were killed, 2 others now in the hospital in Brownsville, Texas. The incident prompting tough talk from some Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham.
His comments come after the kidnapping of 4 U.S. citizens south of the border in Matamoros, where they had reportedly traveled to seek medical care. Graham told Fox News he would put Mexico on notice and tell them, quote, if you continue to give safe haven to drug dealers, then you are an enemy of the United States. Military action in Mexico would require that an authorization for use of military force be passed by Congress and signed by President Biden. Bob Agnew, Capitol Hill.
America's employers kept on hiring last month. Payroll processor ADP reports the addition of 242,000 private sector jobs was more than the 205,000 that many economists had been expecting. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis touting his conservative credentials ahead of an expected presidential run.
In a speech kicking off the Florida legislative session, DeSantis boasted that his governing style and philosophy have made his state #1.
We defied the experts. We bucked the elites.
DeSantis embraced his conservative agenda from tax relief to parents' rights, from immigration to abortion.
We are proud to be pro-family, and we are proud to be pro-life in the state of Florida.
And as he builds momentum for a White House run, DeSantis ended his speech with this.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Greg Clugston, Washington.
Forecasters warn of heavy rains on the way to some snowbound areas of California, posing a flooding threat. The latest storm expected to arrive later in the day tomorrow. Wall Street, Dow futures are up 10 points. NASDAQ futures 24 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everyone is talking about Jesus Revolution. Witness the untold origin story.
Our country is a dark and divided place, but now there's hope, and it's spreading.
Of the last spiritual awakening in American history.
This is your home, and I want you to tell all your friends about it.
Jesus Revolution, starring Jonathan Rumi and Kelsey Grammer. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. Jesus Revolution. Only in theaters now.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. It'll be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fence Works. For over 50 years, our time-honored commitment to quality, service, and affordability make STL Fence Works the go-to authority for fence, deck, and leisure space projects. During these unsure times of severe inflation and supply shortages, you can depend on STL Fence Works to meet your needs. Being the #1 fence and deck contractor in the state, we've leveraged our position to make contract buy-ins hedging against price increases. Also, our buying power has allowed us to stockpile fence and deck material. There are no shortages at STL Fence Works. In fact, we have more fence and deck material on hand now than we have had at any time in our 50-year history. Lastly, our commitment to a quality and customer-first approach has never wavered. Your project will be completed by experienced craftsmen in a timely manner, and our lifetime warranty reinforces that commitment. STL Fence Works warranty surpasses anything offered in the industry. Visit STLFenceWorks.com and allow us to bring your backyard dreams to life. As always, at STL Fence Works, your satisfaction is our passion.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
Big court ruling happened in Jefferson City. I think a lot of even Second Amendment enthusiasts maybe didn't realize that Missouri's SAPA law was at risk. And as of right now, a judge has struck it down. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is coming up on 8:06 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here as well. So I'm after the show yesterday, I'm just doing work, getting ready for today's show, doing stuff for my syndicated show on the weekends, and all of a sudden the news headlines hit all over the place. Federal judge strikes down Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act, as in kit and caboodle strikes down the whole thing. As of right now, it is not in force in Missouri what the legislature passed. Joined now by Aaron Dorr from our friends at the American Firearms Association. And Aaron, you're following this closer than anybody else, and we knew that there were a lot of people that didn't like Second Amendment Preservation Act here or anywhere else. I can't say that I'm surprised that an Obama-appointed judge rules against it, but what's your take on their argument that says, well, the supremacy clause in the Constitution says you're not allowed to take a SAPA approach when defending the Second Amendment?
Well, good morning, guys, and thanks a lot for your time. Yeah, you're right. It was not a surprise to the Missouri Firearms Coalition members to see Judge Wimes strike down SAPA law. We were all there for oral arguments last July. The judge is a radical partisan leftist. He made no attempt to hide that during oral arguments, and he was obviously looking for a way to strike SAPA down. You're correct. His opinion was very much a one-sided approach. He did not interact with any of the previous Supreme Court precedent on the idea of the states refusing to cooperate with federal laws they disagree with. He did not interact with any of those case laws going back to the 1840s all the way until 2018. His argument's very simple. Cops in St. Louis, or the police department, the chief of police in St. Louis, doesn't care for this. It makes it hard for them to do their jobs, and for that reason, he struck it down. We're not surprised about this, and as you said, this is going to be a opportunity for us to get a much larger victory. The case now goes to the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals, and we have a much higher chance of winning our case before the Eighth Circuit.
Good morning, Aaron. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So it sounds like the jurisprudence being used in this lower court is pretty shoddy. So do you think the victory is pretty high? Expectation for the victory pretty high in the circuit court?
We certainly have high hopes for this. I mean, if the judge had interacted with the anti-commandeering doctrine and found problems with that, that might be a problem for us. If he discussed all the previous Supreme Court precedents and found how SAPA did not apply to that, that might be a problem. He interacted with none of the constitutional and Supreme Court precedent that is the bulwark of SAPA law. So we believe that when a more competent set of judges gets this in front of them, we're going to see a big victory.
We are visiting with Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association. Okay, let me ask you about, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about SAPA in the first place. This wasn't outlawing the feds coming in and enforcing gun control laws. Wasn't it just simply saying you cannot use state resources if we deem something unconstitutional? So when they say a supremacy clause, what is it that's actually in conflict with federal law? I mean, doesn't a state have a right to say we're not participating?
Yes, Judge Wimes never really interacted with that in his decision or his opinion from yesterday. You are correct. SAPA law does not limit what the federal government may do here in Missouri. SAPA law said that Missouri cops will be told to enforce Missouri law only when it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories. If the feds want to enforce federal gun control in Missouri, SAPA law does not stop that. Our job here our goal here with this bill was very simple. This law was to make sure that Joe Biden could not use our cops to enforce his war against gun owners. There is no supremacy clause problem here because we're not limiting federal government's authority here in Missouri. We're not going to help them do it.
All right, so you've mentioned the appeals next. Is this the type of thing that is likely to end up in front of the U.S. Supreme Court? Because essentially we've got an Obama-appointed judge giving the Biden administration's Department of Justice a victory right now.
Well, we certainly hope so. I mean, I'd like to have a win at the district court level. We didn't get that. We'd be happy to get a win in the Eighth Circuit, make no mistake. But I could certainly see a scenario where this goes to the Supreme Court. And frankly, we'd be happy to see it get there. This is the most pro-gun Supreme Court we've had in this country in my lifetime. If there's ever a chance to get this before SCOTUS, now's the time to do it. So if it goes there, we'd be very happy with that outcome as well.
Are there any other challenges to SAPA that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, at this point, it's already been injuncted, by Judge Wimes. So SAPA is not currently the law in Missouri for the moment. So other court cases would probably kind of just take a back seat now to this whole situation going forward. So we'll have to kind of wait and see where those go. But I did speak yesterday with the AG Bailey in Jeff City, and he is 100% committed to fighting this fight in the Eighth Circuit. He knows how important SAPA is. His entire team is already on this, and look forward to a very rigorous defense from AG Bailey on Missouri's SAPA law.
Now, Aaron, this isn't just unique to Missouri. There are other states that have had similar laws that are in the middle of the legal wrangling as well, correct? Is this something that the case would stand alone, or could this get rolled into something with other states?
Well, Missouri's SAPA law is the gold standard, and Missouri's SAPA law is the only one facing the full ire of Joe Biden because only Missouri's SAPA law has the civil penalties. And so if a jurisdiction violates SAPA law in Missouri, they could be sued in civil court for civil damages by the individual gun owner. And that was the genius behind Missouri's SAPA law, and that's why Joe Biden hates it so much, because it does put that wall of defense between letting Joe Biden use our local cops to enforce his gun control agenda. No other state has this law on the books, and that's why this is such an important case for Missouri, but also for the country.
Okay, so let me ask about, I don't know if it's a hypothetical or if this is happening around the country. Otherwise, without the protection of a Second Amendment Preservation Act like Missouri at least put on the books until it was struck down here, have there been cases where the federal government has come in and commandeered resources or personnel to enforce gun control laws?
Well, it's about to begin because May 31st is the deadline for Joe Biden's pistol brace regulation. Of course, this was not a law that passed Congress. Joe Biden simply redefined what a pistol brace was and redefined that he calls them now a short-barreled rifle. And so on May 31st of this year, every gun owner in America has to either A, register their pistol brace with the federal government, B, dispose of it, or C, face federal felony charges. And so we haven't seen much of this, to your question, because none of the gun control bills that Biden has tried to pass in Congress have actually passed yet. But now we have this regulation coming, and it's coming very, very quickly. And the Biden administration will be coming after and expecting Missouri cops to come after gun owners who possess these pieces of plastic.
Okay, so in your opinion here, and you're far more of an expert on this than I'll ever be, is it in Missouri's best interest to obviously appeal, fight it in court, or to try to rewrite the law to something that gets around the ruling, or maybe both?
No, there's no getting around a decision from a judge like Judge Wimes. He's a radical leftist partisan. The city made that very clear in oral arguments in Kansas City back in July. So there's no way to do SAPA light that will appease a leftist federal court judge. That's not going to happen. Instead, our goal is to go up, take this to the 8th, and fight this fight there and secure hopefully a victory for Missouri, but again, by extension, the country at a much larger court setting.
Okay, outside of SAPA, Aaron, what are the other biggest threats to Second Amendment rights in America right now that you all are focused on, either in Washington or somewhere else around the country? Because I know we want to focus on this here in the Newstalk STL listing area, but what else is out there we need to know about?
Well, the state level, we have major pushes underway in Jeff City to ban red flag gun seizures, also to enhance stand your ground law. But just last week, House Speaker Dean Plocher greenlit a bill. I think it's House Bill 1277. We have a major video update on this on our website. You can see it right there for more information, which would basically allow any city in Missouri to ban open carry. It would weaken the state's preemption law and a host of other issues, all contained inside of HB 1277. So we are seeing Republican-led gun control take flight right now in Jeff City. At the national level, we have Republicans like Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania who are sponsoring gun control bills for the Biden White House, H.R. 715, which is Nancy Pelosi's universal background check bill. So the fight for freedom, both here in Missouri and in Washington, D.C., is quickly changing from Republican versus Democrat to those who value freedom versus statists. There's a lot of bills moving right now in both state and federal levels. We have to watch very closely.
I hate the fact that I have said, and I will say it again, that when it comes to fighting for constitutional, limited government, free markets, there unfortunately has been and there is a big government movement within the Republican Party itself, which I think is why we need to differentiate the conservative constitutional movement from necessarily the party at times. And I wish the party would get back on board with both feet to get back to where it should be. I'm frustrated to hear that, especially in a red state like Missouri, Aaron.
Yeah, the good news is that the Missouri Firearms Coalition is a absolute powerhouse when it comes to primary elections across the state and in general elections more and more as well. So for every politician in Jeff City who is debating supporting HB 1277 or any other gun control bill, they better think long and hard, because other Republicans tried that in previous election cycles. They were obliterated in their primaries, whether it was a statewide primary, a state Senate primary, a state House primary. And so they might try to move a gun control bill right now during session, but the elections are coming up again only a year from this August, and gun owners will have their say at that time.
All right. What's the website where we can see the video you just mentioned and be in touch if somebody wants to join the pushback?
Yeah, go to the MissouriFirearmsCoalition.org. That's our website in Missouri, and our Facebook page as well has the video I discussed. Go to our Facebook page for more information.
All right, Aaron, good to have you back on the show, man. Thanks for being on so quickly after this ruling.
You bet. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, all right, 314-912-1019. Big ruling, and I love the fact that he said Missouri's is the gold standard. So, honestly, that was the right answer. When I said, okay, do they just rewrite it to work around it? And he basically said, nope.
We're going to defend it.
Push ahead and, all or nothing on this. And so if somehow it loses at another court level, then maybe they can do something else. But looks like they just want to take this to the Supreme Court.
I like how the potential for victory is actually greater now that it has to go to the higher courts.
Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Before you blow us all away.
Columbo and Katie.
A judge has revoked the SAPA bill. Control of the city police department could be changing, and Wednesday we'll talk about those issues and more with the insider's insider of local politics, Rodney Boyd at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
So, you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location. 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peters on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at Steph'sPizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
October, today I wanted to talk, if you don't mind, about drug prices. You okay with that?
street drugs or pharmaceuticals? What are you talking about?
I don't know. What do you got?
What are you looking for? I don't wear trench coats. No, I'm kidding you.
Hey,
I heard you. I couldn't believe what they're charging now. They're going to charge $100 for marijuana growers if you want to cultivate marijuana, like privately, just for your own use. You're going to have to get a license from the state, and it's crazy.
Vic Forcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Even in these uncertain times, Missouri lawyers are here to help. If your income has been impacted by the current global crisis, or if you qualify as a low-income household, you can have your legal questions answered for free at missouri.freelegalanswers.org. You can ask up to 5 questions, and they'll be answered by a lawyer licensed in Missouri at no cost to you. Missouri lawyers want you to know you are not alone. Get free answers to your legal questions at missouri.freelegalanswers.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Bar.
Fox News commentary.
California has finally gotten rid of most of its forced face diapering. Took you long enough. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. They do not care if the value of your retirement is sacrificed. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
California has finally gotten the memo. COVID is over. The state has, alas, rolled back its mask mandate for what liberals deem high-risk indoor areas such as hospitals, medical offices, long-term care, correctional facilities, homeless shelters, emergency evacuation centers, and places designated for cooling and warming stations. Those will be face diaper optional. So you know what that means. Most liberals are still going to wear their precious face masks alone in their cars, but whatever, to each their own. In addition to the great unmasking, starting April 3rd, healthcare workers will no longer be forced to get the experimental COVID jab. Again, glad the most progressive state in the nation is still living like it's 2020. But Governor Newsom still has a love affair with power, so you are far from out of the woods yet. Get out while you still can, but if you're a Democrat, please don't come here. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, here's what's among the news stories floating around St. Louis right now. St. Charles voters are going to decide whether to raise taxes on themselves, although, as we've been talking about today, government officials don't like people talking about it that way. They say, no, that's not true. Also, one of the GOP-backed candidates in the St. Louis Board of Aldermen race says advances to the general election. Listen, this is a bigger deal, I think, what a lot of people realize, regardless of what happens in April. But the fact of the matter is that there is a Republican candidate, although these are nonpartisan races, who is going to be on that final ballot in April. We'll tell you all about that here in just a couple of minutes. 8:23 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Okay, so if you're just joining us, and we just had this conversation with Aaron Dorr at the American Firearms Coalition, also the Missouri Firearms Coalition. This is going to be up on our podcast page probably in the next, 2.5 hours or so, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Something along those lines. A little bit later on today, you're going to have that conversation, which should go to everybody that you know who is a Second Amendment supporter, okay? They need to hear this. So once this is posted on our podcast, go ahead and subscribe at newstalkstl.com or wherever you get your podcast. You need to be forwarding this to everybody so that they can hear this themselves. An Obama-appointed federal judge gives the Biden administration a win. And, Gabe, that's the only way I can put it, is that's how it happened.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment Preservation Act was struck down in federal court yesterday. The judge basically saying that states do not have a right to pass laws that conflict with federal laws, even if that state law is designed to protect an explicit constitutional right. We now know that ruling is going to be appealed.
Yes, yeah, and it's going to be. I'm pretty confident, and they're pretty confident. I think everybody who understands both the bill and the ruling are pretty confident that ruling is going to be struck down. SAPE is going to be reinforced, and depending on how the opinions are written, it could be strengthened.
Yes, it could. Now, keep in mind what Aaron was talking about when he looked at the recent Supreme Court rulings. they have been strongly pro-Second Amendment. You look at cases in New York and others, this has been a very Bill of Rights friendly Supreme Court. That should be the standard, but it hasn't always been the standard. But then again, my opinion of the human right to self-defense and the Second Amendment is considered radical by many. I would love to see more and more gun control laws chipped away and then just obliterated so that they don't come back.
Yeah. I want all challenges to this type of thing to be so squashed after this that they can't see straight.
Now, what was really frustrating, and if you listen to that podcast that's going to be up a little bit later on today, is that some Republicans are greenlighting gun control law bills to float through the legislature. I don't honestly think they're going to get through.
Right. I think it may be kind of like I hate to say fringe, but kind of the fringe minority of Republicans who may be pushing that sort of thing. But I don't think it's going to get enough support to get to the floor.
No, but the problem is that some of them are in leadership.
Oh, really?
That's the problem. I mean, he just, and that's the problem.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
that doesn't mean,
that doesn't mean they're going to get the vote. They're not going to get the votes. But the fact that there are some Republicans who are willing to move forward with gun control bills or even entertain it is really a bad look. And listen, conservative movement, there needs to be some self-assessment here. Who and what do we believe in, and who and what are we? I'm not saying be monolithic, but there should be some principles that are standard within the conservative movement. And I'm worried that what's going to happen here, and probably one of the reasons why I consider myself a conservatarian independent, is because there is not a complete overlap between conservatism and free markets and freedom-based outlooks. There's not a complete overlap with the Republican Party. They diverge way too many places.
Yeah, you've mentioned before that we need to do some soul searching on the right, and this is among those issues that is kind of bubbling up right now. Not only our I don't want to say liberalism, but essentially our liberalism on some of these issues where we're kind of veering to the left for some odd reason, but also where we're leaning into the overuse of government power to bring about things that are conceivably on the right. So all of that stuff needs to be on the table for discussion. We need to come to Jesus meeting about all these things.
Well, and right now's the time to do it, because you get into 2024, you're in campaign season.
It's too late.
It should be about winning and defeating the left at that point. So let's decide who and what we are. All right. Also, one of the St. Louis City GOP-backed candidates actually advances to the general election. This is really cool. In Ward 2, Phil Menendez came in second place of 3, setting up an April election between him and Thomas Oldenburg. Because remember, St. Louis City has this ranked choice voting. And so generally speaking, what we expected to happen happened across the city, in that the voters chose pretty left-wing leftist and Democrats, even though it's a nonpartisan race. Okay. But in Ward 2, Phil Menendez, who's been in the studio with us, he won a spot in that general election. This is a big win for the city Republican Party.
So instead of the camel getting its nose under the tent, it's the elephant getting its trunk under
a little
the
bit
tent.
of the trunk.
There you go. I love that. All right. Yes, let's go.
So congratulations to Phil Menendez, and congratulations to the St. Louis City Republican Party. They've simply done the work the right way, to do the hard work of campaigning. Don't get me wrong. Phil Menendez is absolutely the underdog in this upcoming race. Absolutely the underdog. But they're in the race. They're in the fight. And that's something I think a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. So where do we go from here? Well, we're going to find out in the next month or so. Okay, let's talk about some national stuff real quick. A U.S. House committee investigating the origins of COVID-19 says Anthony Fauci was demanding, trying to tilt the scales on a publication back in 2020 in order to discount or, basically not even so much disprove as in simply undermine the Wuhan lab leak theory. Senator Josh Hawley was on Hannity last night on Fox News, and here's what he had to say about it.
What we do know is that Fauci actively worked to discredit the idea, I believe, fact that this came from a lab, that COVID was a lab leak, originated in a lab leak. He actively worked to discourage that, to discredit that, when our own government was collecting intelligence that suggested it did, in fact, come from a lab.
And Anthony Fauci says that he will show up and testify if and when he's subpoenaed. He's not going to fight it, and so that's going to be must-see TV. Although what I really want is him in front of a Senate committee with tangling with Ted Cruz and Rand Paul is what I really, really want to see.
Yeah, we need specials about these things.
Yes.
I want it in prime time.
Yes, absolutely. All right, voters in the city of St. Charles, not the county, but the city, are being asked to impose a 2% sales tax on online purchases. That's going to be on the April ballot as well. City officials somehow are trying to argue that adding a sales tax to purchases that are not currently subject to that tax is not a new tax, or it's not a new tax increase.
What?
Liar! Oh, my goodness. And generally, St. Charles City and County do better than most of the other areas. But this is just nonsense. Just say you want a tax increase on online purchases and say you want to fund XYZ with it. Just do that.
Or let me throw this out there. Cut spending.
Yeah, there too. There you go. As well.
I mean, just saying.
Yeah,
just saying.
No, you're getting radical now.
I know. Coming from the right.
Oh man,
top rope.
Cardinals in spring training ball play the Yankees today. There is no broadcast for that. Battlehawks Jared Jones-Smith gets a 1-game suspension from the XFL due to that brawl with the DC Defenders last Sunday.
That was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Blues got whooped in Arizona last night, 6-2. They are off tonight. They play tomorrow in San Jose against the Sharks.
Fun, I guess.
If you're the Sharks.
Yeah, I know. I mean, gosh, they've been sucking really bad lately.
I think they're 4 games under 500 now.
I'll check, but I think it's worse than that, actually.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see the Battlehawks come home, though.
Yeah, home game Sunday.
Home game Sunday, and I got tickets!
Awesome.
I'm so excited.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of rain around this morning, left some wet roads in its wake. Temperatures near 40 degrees this morning with a chilly breeze. Going to be a little bit of a raw day. This rain moves out by mid-morning, and we'll have mostly cloudy, breezy, chilly conditions. The high today about 48 degrees. Lows dropping down to near 40 tonight. Again tomorrow, the high near 48 degrees with some scattered showers likely from mid-morning on during the day on Thursday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
iHelp is the immigrant home English learning program here in St. Louis that helps empower immigrant families by providing individualized in-home English language education and tools for the effective navigation of our community. iHelp connects volunteer teachers with adult immigrant and refugee learners in our community to develop English and life skills. To learn more or to volunteer as a tutor, visit ihelpstl.org. That's ihelpstl.org.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, Bill O'Reilly here, and you can hear my no-spin commentary right here at 6:45 this evening. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The effort to expand recreational marijuana hits a roadblock in Oklahoma yesterday. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Also, city of St. Louis. I forgot to mention this just a few minutes ago. The city of St. Louis really likes taxing people who don't live in St. Louis. Have you noticed that? I mean,
Yeah.
we all are subjected to this stupid, what they call an earnings tax. It's just an income tax on people who don't have any say in it.
1%.
1%. Yep. I'll tell you about that because they lost a ruling through all the COVID shutdowns and everything, and so they're appealing it right now. It is 8:35 right now. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. Okay, so here's what's going on. The city of St. Louis is appealing a court ruling that said that they had to refund earnings taxes for people who were working remotely. Because what was happening is once everything got shut down, including the city itself, and they shut down businesses illegally, but they shut them down. And a couple of lawyers, one of them I know Beavis Schock and Mark Milton, they had some plaintiffs who said, hey, if you're saying I can't come to work and I'm working remotely and I'm not working in St. Louis City, you don't have a right to tax me on that earnings tax.
Right.
And the judge agreed.
All right.
Very
Yes.
interesting.
Let's
Very
go.
Interesting.
Yep. And so the city has announced that it is going to appeal that ruling. I mean, the earnings tax is one of the dumbest things I have seen. Kansas City has one, St. Louis has one, some other deep blue cities have it as well, and I would argue that because we have no say in this, meaning Gabe Pfeiffer, Mike Ferguson, Stel Ponticus, it's absolutely ridiculous that they're allowed to just simply take 1% of my income.
Right.
Now, I don't like any income tax at all.
Yeah, I actually think it's was it number 2 or 3 in my top immoral taxes. But hey, I mean, I do my civic duty and pay these things. But if I had anything to say about it, which I don't, sadly,
yes,
because of the city of St. Louis.
You don't do your duty and pay it; they just take it out of your check before it gets to you.
You're not wrong. That's true. That's true. That's
because
true.
if I could get away with not paying it, I would not pay it and say, "Come get me."
There you go.
I live in the county. What are you going to do to me?
Just look for the Anton's trucks.
Right. You can find my house. All the Anton's trucks are out there. Actually, they probably are right now. So what's happened here is, and I'm looking at Channel 4, our news partners covering of this. The ruling that was issued requires the city to pay the 6 plaintiffs, to pay 6 people back their refunds. And the lawyers are saying, hey, let's make this class action. We've already got the court ruling that says they didn't have a right to keep collecting that money. And so what's happening here is Mark Milton, one of the lawyers, he's quoted as saying, the law is clear that if you're not physically working in the city, you are not liable for those days, which makes sense. And so this goes against the Collector of Revenue's earnings tax refund request form, which says employees who work remotely from home should be treated as working at their original principal place of work.
Oh.
BS.
Oh, my
gosh. BS. Complete BS.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what they still have on there. City of St. Louis says they depend on the earnings tax revenue for about $200 million a year. Now, keep in mind, if you live in the city of St. Louis, but you work outside the city of St. Louis, they still demand to tax you on that as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's how that works. So it's just a money grab. It's a money grab because they're so fiscally irresponsible and they're running off so many businesses and workers. They would rather squeeze the people who are still unfortunate enough to have to work inside the city limits.
Yeah, it's basically a regional tax. Is just like I'm going to tax everybody who's in the city and everybody who's close enough that I can tax. You know, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it really is. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. I'm going to guess that we're going to get the wrong ruling at some point on this, and this will probably be tied up in courts for years.
Yeah,
is what's going to happen here. All right, coming up on 8:39 right now. This is interesting. Oklahoma voters, and I cannot say I'm surprised by this. Oklahoma voters say no to recreational marijuana. Basically, the same set of rules that Missouri voters recently said yes to. Fox News' Chris DeMaio explains what's happening.
The question was the only issue on the ballot Tuesday. It would have legalized pot for those over 21. Oklahoma would have been the 22nd state to allow recreational marijuana use. The question was opposed by various religious groups, law enforcement, and prosecutors. They argued legal marijuana would harm children and lead to more crime. The state, however, already has one of the most robust medical marijuana programs in the country. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
About 10% of the adult residents of Oklahoma have a medical marijuana card.
That's a lot.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess most of those are wink, wink, nudge, nudge medical marijuana cards.
Almost
just like
all of them?
Yeah, because that's what we had in Illinois and then later in Missouri was like you saw billboards. Go to this website. We'll give you your medical marijuana card.
Yeah.
I mean, they were basically pay a fee and you get a clearinghouse to get the card. Well, now it's recreational in both the states here and in 19 other states, 21 states total.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't surprise me that Oklahoma voters said no. So here's what happened is at the last minute, there was a small campaign, and I mean like $200,000 or $300,000, as opposed to the millions by the recreational marijuana industry. And a lot of that came from the churches, a very coordinated effort. Part of the campaign was churches speaking out against the ballot measure. So churches getting involved in the political issue that was being decided, and the voters responded to that. Now, I used to do business in Oklahoma City, not so much I've been to Tulsa a little bit, but primarily Oklahoma City is where I used to do business. And it does not surprise me that culturally they said no to legalizing recreational marijuana. It just doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was a little taken aback because I thought this legalization thing was kind of sweeping across the country, but I suppose there are enough people in these communities who are still influenced by their faith leaders and things like that who are willing to stand up via the vote on that. So I guess I'm used to the Bible Belt being bigger. Because I was introduced to it back in the 80s and 90s when it was huge, right?
And further south.
And further south, right? And a lot of those states, I think, are moving towards legalization, like a lot of other Bible Belt states. So I figured it was just kind of everywhere. But I guess they're a standout right now.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma, and I haven't been there in a couple years, so unless things have changed quite a bit, my sense of it is you go back to sort of that late 80s, early 90s Christian coalition, sort of religious right conservatism, and that's really the version of conservatism that you have in Oklahoma is that religious and politically related religious right conservatism. Okay. So that's why I'm not surprised that they voted no, despite the massive amounts of spending by the pro-recreational marijuana industry.
And from my perspective, too, I would consider Oklahoma to be a very conservative state.
Oh, sure.
So I could see that definitely happening there. Kind of a pocket just by itself, especially when you consider how close Colorado is to them.
I mean, Texas is still red for the moment, but not as deep red as Oklahoma. I mean, and you're talking, and I'm a guy who voted for legalization, even though I don't use marijuana. And I'm pretty pretty far on the right on that. But Oklahoma just has a sort of different version of conservatism that still holds on to that sort of faith-based religion. Some would call it big government. You could debate that, I guess. But it's one of those, I think, stunned the political establishment, particularly the effort to legalize marijuana around the country. I don't know what Oklahoma's rules are as far as bringing it back. The legislature definitely won't take it up after voters. And it wasn't really, I mean, it wasn't a blowout, but it wasn't like winning by the skin of your teeth vote either. It was a decisive win for against recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
So you still have to, so basically the street corner drug dealers go, yes, we still have a corner on the market.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that the scam is still on for the medical cards. I think that's the bigger scam as opposed to the street corner. I don't think those street corner guys are going away even with the legalized stuff.
No. Well, I mean, and in Illinois, if they keep raising their taxes on it, at some point it's going to be significantly cheaper to go get it. I'm not going to name names, obviously, but I actually in the last couple of weeks have talked to two people who have actually said, yeah, I still just go to my dealer.
Yeah.
And I asked them, I said, but you go
to the dispensary now.
Go to a dispensary and get it easy. Like, and they're like, yeah, but it's cheaper if I go. So it's already, in some cases, cheaper to go to your dealer.
Well, I mean, I kind of knew that was going to be the case because it's always going to be cheaper to go to your dealer. He's got no overhead,
right?
It's like he's not charging you extra because he has to pay for a nice car and keep it clean. He's because that's his storefront. No, he doesn't have to pay for a building. He doesn't have to pay employees. He doesn't have to pay for various business regulations and tax records and an accountant and all these other things. He's got a brick in his trunk
and plastic
bags. Yeah, that's all it's got. So I mean, I never expected legalization to get rid of the underground market, but I mean, it is going to bring some of the people who go underground up above board just because they'd rather go into a store. They'd rather be a little more safe with the product because they know where it's coming from or that it's certified by the government or whatever to be free of fentanyl lining or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because
Stuff
that's
like
the thing.
That's a thing, too.
That, to me, would be the reason to go pay the taxes and go do it if that's what you want to do. Let me ask you this. Have you guys sensed, and maybe you sense something different than I am, and I know we got to get to an info segment here in just a moment, but even the push for legalization, do you think that's reduced the, you're a druggie stigma for marijuana users recreationally or otherwise? Because I am sensing that there just isn't that much of a looking down on it the way that there was before. I think people look at it more like the way people look at alcohol now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, in the grand societal stuff, yeah. I mean, in that area, I think those of us who still have a stigma to it are going to keep it. We're going to keep it for life.
Now, you said we. Is that?
That's me.
Okay. All right. Good. There you go.
I mean, now to be fair, I mean, I still it has a visceral reaction to the smell of it. I don't have that big of a reaction to hearing that there's somebody I know who partakes,
right?
Because I know them, right? It's like it's one thing to know somebody. It's like, okay, well, I can see that as one of your foibles. Like, okay, I get it. I don't think that makes you the type of drug dealer I had to deal with as a kid, but I still don't like it, and I still wish you wouldn't do it. That's different than and maybe that's kind of what's changing now. It's like you're starting to know more people who partake. So then, I guess for some people that extends to how you perceive the drug itself. But that type of stuff never worked for me.
Okay, I've got a follow-up thought on that. I know we got to get to the info segment here. Let's do this, and then I've got to follow up with what you just said. In that now you know somebody who's partaking.
Right.
So let's pick up there because I've got an observation about that I think is interesting, and somebody's got some thoughts on that. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3, and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Happy Hump Day Wednesday. We'll have candidate from Missouri Attorney General Will Sharf at 4:05. At 4:25, Mike Ferguson, that morning show guy.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to healthcare, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning, brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I don't know how this conversation just kind of grew here, but I
Yeah.
want to follow up on what you just said.
Yeah.
So we started talking about Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma voters said no to recreational marijuana legalization.
Yep.
They have medical marijuana,
Mhm.
and I still maintain that almost all, if not all, medical marijuana is basically wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We know what this is all about. Okay.
The cards are a dime a
The
dozen.
cards, you can get them anywhere, and so it is what it is.
But I have friends who do use it for medicinal purposes.
Real?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, most definitely.
Really?
Some of them war veterans who are
Okay.
dealing with issues
Like PTSD and things
Yes.
like that. Okay,
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have seen that become a real thing. Yes.
night terrors, etc. PTSD stuff.
See, and I have absolutely no issue because there are other medicines available, but there's somebody who says, "What I would like to have a natural thing that grows out of the ground, naturally. That literally in some areas you can walk along the side of the road and is growing there, or do I want to go to the pharmaceutical companies?" So
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
And
And the side effects issues as well.
Oh yeah. And so here's what I wanted to follow up on, because you said just a second ago before we got into that information break, you said now we know people who are now doing this.
Yeah.
I'm going to maintain that we knew those people before, but the stigma is so much less that they're more open about for being a marijuana customer or user, even recreationally, the same way that somebody would not have a problem saying, "Yeah, I like to have a glass of wine or two at the end of the day," or "I'm going to go out and have a beer with the guys." I think it's become the same thing, or it's moving towards the same thing, because I have been a little surprised at some of the people that I've known for years who are now saying, "Well, yeah, I'll just pop a gummy, or I'll just roll one to relax or whatever." My guess is that they didn't start doing that when it got legalized for recreational purposes.
Oh, absolutely.
They just didn't want to talk about it because there was a stigma. And for some people, there still is, for religious reasons or traditional reasons or whatever the case is. But I think that is falling in a big, big way.
Does it make any difference that I listen to the Doobie Brothers every day?
That's right. I've seen them in concert. Thank you very much.
Now, I think societally, I mean that's kind of how things get rolling, really heavily. It's like
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. Is that you start with a reduction of the public stigma in terms of the talking heads, the big people who big well-known, well-respected people start talking about it openly. That opens the door for a reduced stigma for regular Joes to start getting into talking about talking about it openly, and then that influences the people who would normally feel some kind of way about it, because oh well, I know regular Joe, and then of course they extend what they know about regular Joe onto the vice. And then they say, okay, well, then maybe that vice isn't so bad because regular Joe isn't so bad. I kind of view these things kind of the opposite way, in that if I had a preconceived notion about a particular vice, I didn't come to that willy-nilly. I came to that because of reasons. The fact that somebody I know partakes in that vice doesn't change how I feel about the vice. It actually typically changes how I feel about the person.
Yeah, see, that is an interesting flip that you've got there, because when you were talking about people associate the person with whatever the vice is, go back to before the entire medical or recreational marijuana issue came about. When you thought of a marijuana user, you thought of a stoner. What did you think of?
Yeah. You thought of the person who's lazy. They don't do any work, and they're criminals. They're used to breaking the law, and they don't care so much about authority.
I mean, when they had the energy to
do anything, that kind of stuff. Yes, the stoner stigma was a thing. Or in my case, it was a gangbanger, somebody who actually indulged in like heavily gang activity, like heavy drugs and weapons and prostitution, all those other things. Those are the things associated with marijuana smoke, just from my personal experience. But while I don't put that onto regular Joe who says, oh yeah, I sometimes roll one. I don't say that, okay, well, my stigma, the way I consider that regular stuff is diminished because of how good Joe is.
Yeah, so is the stoner stigma still there as much?
No.
Stell, what do you think?
I don't think so either.
I agree. I think that has fallen. Now, we can debate whether it's a good or bad thing on that. I don't have a problem with it. I think that we're just kind of updating our policies to reflect good policy, just because I'd rather have something above board than below board. I think some of the things that we've seen with recreational marijuana being approved have turned out to be true. I think it is. I think my guess is a majority of people are going to the dispensaries now, even though they're paying more, but they're getting something that's got better quality control, less likely to hurt you. And I suspect if you're still a 15 or 16-year-old who wants to find something, you're going to find it. But I don't know if it's as readily available. I don't know if the black market's as big, because people can now go do it and not have to worry about getting in trouble. So they're going to go the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance is above board right now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, one of the things, though, that I worried about, from my conservative standpoint, is that the reduction of the stigma, affects people. The primary way that it affects them, the way I described, where they reduce stigma on it because of the people they know, means that if not today, then in the future, more people are going to partake. I mean, I think that the legalization path leads to sort of exponential customer growth as opposed to linear customer growth. I guess is if we're going to kind of put it in math terms.
I bet you that it's spiked with people saying, "Ooh, it's legal. I'm going to try it just once," and whether they stay with it or not, or whether it goes back to normal, remains to be seen. I think it hasn't been long enough.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to get at. We're looking at short time scales right now.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that in the future, my kids, their kids, and their kids are going to have a reduced and a continually reduced view of how bad that is as a vice. What counts as a vice, and they're going to know more people who partake, and therefore being influenced to partake. So that's the kind of growth that I'm suggesting is kind of bound for the future. But I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing.
Going to be years before we know for sure.
Well, exactly. So, yeah.
All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way right now here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Coming up on 9 a.m. in Mid-America on the... Hey, it's International Women's Day. I just remembered that.
Oh, yeah. Hey. All right. Make me a sandwich.
Welcome home.
Oh!
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
I'm here with Dr. Howard Wall. And, Howard, when it comes to international trade, that's taken a lot of political hits lately, but you economist types just still really like international trade.
Well, most importantly, trade makes everyday Americans better off by giving them access to the best and lowest priced goods in the world. This allows us to focus on goods we're most competitive at making, and that raises productivity and wages for most everybody. And half of imports are used to make other goods, so trade actually helps our own manufacturers. Look, trade's been one of the main reasons the U.S. has become as rich as it is. I don't think we should replace free trade with centrally planned trade run by Washington.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical